to be fair, you just look about the same size as us,
You
whereas
do actually look
normally everybody looks fucking way small.
Look, he looks like an absolutely right. So you can't see if you're on Spotify.
Oh, tiny, that's not good.
If you're on Spotify or YouTube right now, we've completely and utterly abused this man's size. How tall are you?
6'6".
Only 6'6".
You look tall. I was going to say you look taller than that.
You're just a giant human. You're the type of person I look at and then look at myself and just go, "Oh well, evolution missed me."
You're broad-shouldered as well, so you just like you.
Carry on, brother. Carry on. Yeah.
This is episode 52. That means we've been doing this shit for a year, and we've got a very special guest for you today, especially for all you guys who are interested in anything to do, well, just anything to do with the body and optimizing it. Sir, introduce yourself.
Right, my name's Imran Khan. I run a company called Transform Now. I'm basically a sports physiologist, nutritionist, do a lot of research on performance-enhancing drugs. We work with assisted and non-assisted athletes and individuals from a nutritional and from a performance perspective. What you have to recall, you have drug-tested federations and non-drug tested. So, of course, if you've got a federation where there's 1,000 athletes all taking drugs, you'd be stupid not to take drugs to compete. So there isn't a taboo on this. It's well known. It's a fact. It exists. So you have federations who are tested and non-tested.
And so you help those that choose to take what they take to stay healthy,
stay safe.
And stay safe.
For us, safety is paramount. We don't really give a. I mean, can we swear on here?
Yeah.
But we don't
Fuck
give a,
balls.
Bullshit.
Well, we don't give a fuck really what the coaches say or anybody says. We have to sort of jump the gun here. We have a database of 27,000 blood results.
Yeah.
The biggest database in the world. We also have access to millions of results in the States through the research we're doing, and access to all the NHS records for testosterone or steroid in the UK. So
You have access to all of them.
So
we can get dirt on anybody you
so
want.
we can type in, for example, testosterone, steroid cycle, and everybody who's been to a GP that we've took steroids, we will have that data.
Right.
All of that data is currently being compiled.
Keep that mic close.
All that data is currently being compiled for a PhD and postdoctoral research, where all the logarithms will come, and all the data is going to be assessed with over 1,000 CT scans, well over 5,000 ultrasounds, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ECGs, and then we'll know what the effect of taking 1 ml test is after 5 years. You see, the blood.
So we're going to have basically some actual scientific field-tested data,
real data,
rather than underground. Dave said, "Take as much as this as you like for this week."
Absolutely, because so what you see, what the bloods do. If I could just grab these.
Yeah.
You see, what all the bloods do will tell you your position now. They're not telling you the microphysiological changes happening in your body. So, for example, it tells you your HDL dropped from 1.7 to.
So, just before people get confused, you take people's bloods, and this is the analysis of their bloods that you would have taken.
It's not only the bloods. We also do.
And this is part of the data that you're pulling in.
So just to give a very general, loose example.
If you dumb it down to then build it up, so that people who are
right. So let's say, for example, you have cholesterol, higher density lipoproteins. So now, it should be above 1.1. So let's say we do the blood test today, and it's 0.99. You look at it, you say, it's not too bad. It's not 1 point. It's not too bad. It's a few percent out, no big deal. Now let's say 6 months later, that's gone to 0.79.
Yeah.
And then it goes to 0.69, and then you take some supplements. You stop taking whatever you're doing. You get a bit healthier, and it goes up to 1.49.
Because this is the LDLs you're looking at, which is the good cholesterol, which is what you want.
So you look at that and you think to yourself, "Oh, my figures have gone up." What we don't know in that year, what microphysiological changes happen in your body. Okay. Did you get some scarring? Now, contrary to popular belief, the heart will get cholesterol buildup inside and outside. People somehow think it doesn't happen outside. The arteries, they should be like this,
nice,
sort of very supple.
Nice and flexy.
And at certain parts, they may harden, and the calcium buildups come, atherosclerosis comes, the blood is pushing through, you can get a blockage, a bit of plaque breaks off, you have a heart attack, you die, or you don't die. Now,
different plaque to the dentist, just pointing that out, guys. Don't get the dentist with your heart attack.
Not that
Now,
plaque.
what we don't know is, obviously, you cannot do a CT scan every day.
No.
So you don't know that. But the blood work is just really a fraction of your picture.
You just
But
got
by
that moment in time.
It's
Yeah.
that
what
moment in
happened.
time.
By pooling so many results, you can
Yeah.
effectively get day-to-day data.
Now, recently, when somebody, the pro bodybuilder who died, and his coach had said, blood work doesn't mean anything. Technically, he was right, because the blood work was saying that this guy was actually not too bad, but the CT scan was showing that his heart was falling apart. He had severe, what we call a PLA2, a severe calcium buildup and inflammation of the heart, and that's what killed him. That wouldn't show up on blood work. On blood work.
So
Now,
that's where you need to be.
that's where you need
finding
the
out,
equipment,
yeah.
the CT scans, the echo scans, the pulse wave analysis, and everything else which goes with it to keep the person safe. But that has a monetary cost to it.
Yeah.
So people would rather spend several £1,000s on steroids than spend $1,000 a year on getting a CT scan.
I think we're seeing much more of this now. We've got even YouTubers coming out having heart attacks in their freaking 30s and 40s. We've
People
got people
dying.
dropping off like a cliff edge.
Yeah.
And so to bring it back to where you are, so you specialize in-
Myself and my team, because I have to say this, we have a professional cardiology who works with us, we have an endocrinologist, we have a urologist, we have a female hormone specialist. So these,
and you're open to the public.
we are open to the public, and we have always been open about this for many, many years.
Yeah.
So there's no taboo in this. People
Well,
are
no,
taking
I don't
it
think there is. I mean,
there.
you're open to the public, so if people want to get their
Yeah.
bloods done, so you're transformnow.co.uk,
Yeah.
and this is, so what you've told us before about all the data and everything you collected is, this is your field of research, which you're now elevating to help people on a long-term scale.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
remain healthy.
my own background originally started in physio and rehab. So I did a first PhD many years ago. Not that I'm a nerd, but I probably am.
It's good to be a nerd in that.
Yeah. And then from there, it developed into sports science, health management, sports nutrition, and each time another qualification to build up. Then you realize that the culmination of all of this is actually quite frightening, that you're meeting people who are taking a vial which their mate said is good.
Yep. Dr. Dave at the gym.
Yeah.
Yep.
So somebody gives you a vial, and think about it, think of a mentality, and we've all done it. Here's this vial, this is good for you, take it and jab it.
Yep.
In what other world would you ever do
I
that?
think one of the main problems that we've seen, especially when it comes to people taking steroids, especially at a young age, is the fact that you don't have an acute reaction.
No.
That's the issue. So they take it. Nothing happens on the day or the week or the month or that year that they
Yeah,
take it.
nothing will
So I think
happen, no.
that's cool. That's fine. And we had a talk with this when Danny came on, Danny Andrews,
Yeah.
the fish and rice cake guy. He was the same. He was just getting stuff from his mates. His mate said, take some as much as this much of this. Per
He didn't
week.
even know what it
He
was.
Didn't even know what it was.
It was just brand names. It was like Super Bowl or some random.
Yeah, it wasn't even a pharmaceutical name on the vials he was buying. We have another friend who outside of this, he bought. I still can't get over this. He bought a bottle of TRT.
Yeah.
Called it TRT.
No, but I've
You've got to
heard.
love that, don't
No,
you?
but I
You've
can
gotta
tell you.
love
I can
that.
tell you something better. Where a guy has bought a 10 ml bottle of Deca, and he's bought 6 of his mate for 6 weeks. So he somehow got confused.
He's bought 60 mil
Yeah.
For
So
6
then
weeks.
what he did, he was putting 10 ml of Deca a day.
in himself.
Yeah, for 6 days. And then he gave me a call and he said, listen, I've been taking this stuff. What is it? He said, I don't know. It's got a yellow top on the bottle. Right. So I said to him, are you fucking drinking it? And he said, no, I've been injecting it. So I said, listen, bring the vials to me. Come and see me. And so his face is quite puffed up. And, it was like, he might have been a fat fuck before, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so I said to him, and so he showed me the 6 vials. I said, right, he said, I've been doing 10 mil a day. Okay. I said, didn't you think for a minute, and he's got an abscess as well, didn't you think for a minute this is something wrong? He said, no, my mate told me. Now, again...
The most insane story I've ever heard.
Jesus.
Well, I can tell you this, Winstrol, which is a water-based, being mixed with testosterone and being injected into the pec because somebody told him to do that. And the best story I've heard ever, and I met this guy who's passed away now, so may he rest in peace, where somebody had told him to take 10 grams for 60 days of a combination of gear and then go off for 2 weeks and it'll cause a massive metabolic effect on you.
It's because he used the word metabolic.
Yeah.
Made it sound
People-
And,
Yeah.
and he used the word eat lots because food is anabolic and you
yeah,
will
of
grow.
course.
Now, this guy had a fever for around about 45 days. He was extremely ill.
So he kept taking it during the fever.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't
Push
you?
through, yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Hardcore.
Because you're a man. You're fucking
Yeah,
geezer.
bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bodybuilder, mate.
yeah,
Of course, you're
hard.
gonna take that shit.
Push it.
Yeah, pussies get ill, and so he did that.
Just cooking eggs on himself.
Yeah, and then unfortunately he became infertile. He had massive kidney problems, had all these other problems, and he died
In
about
such a short time.
yeah, because it's toxic poisoning. Now, what you never know is watching your DNA code. If you've never had a blood test, we unfortunately have become the bearers of bad news. People will come to us, just a normal guy off the street, want a blood test, not feeling well, and it turns out it's a cancer. And we have to then tell them, listen, mate, I'm really sorry. Here's our oncologist. We're referring you on to this guy. You've got cancer. You've got your kidneys aren't functioning. We're really concerned about your heart.
Thank God they dropped in to see you, though.
Yeah,
eh?
but we have this all the time, and it can be. Just 2 weeks ago, very sad. A lovely guy who I should take my car for to get punctures fixed, and he's got cancer. We got the result back. I had to call him in, call his family, and he's been given about 6 to 8 weeks to live. Now, he was feeling tired for the last 2 months, was bruising up, couldn't get an appointment because of COVID, and
That was all just tired and bruises.
yeah. Now, we've seen this a lot during COVID, and this point has to be made. The government doesn't give a fuck about your health. It really doesn't.
No.
And the NHS doesn't. You've got to, like you save money to go on holiday or to choose a car you want or a motorbike or whatever you want, you've got to put money aside for your own health now. And we've seen countless prostate cancer people who couldn't get appointments.
Yeah, this was a big thing with people that were already in treatments, couldn't even go in and
No,
carry
they
forward
couldn't do it.
treatments during COVID.
You know, so that aspect. So when you, for example, if you've took something, this is why we always say to people, and always have a blood test before you go on a cycle. Yeah. So we have a baseline to work from. We know that you're currently healthy.
This is what mine.
And
this is why I did it.
We know what your figures are. If, for example, you had come and your EGFR was 35, we know you've got a kidney problem already before you took anything.
So that's a marker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are like 58 markers which we've decided upon, and these will tell us your overall health. So if, for example, your PSA was 5.7, you've already got a problem there. That needs to be examined. It may be an anomaly for
What's
you.
that for?
That's
PSA?
a prostate.
Prostate.
Yeah, it's a
okay.
prostate.
I don't have that, by the way, but that's...
if for example you did, and you're taking a cycle,
Yeah.
you're only pushing that marker up.
yeah.
These are your blood.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are my
These are
my bloods.
Mr.
You can
Madden's
use
bloods,
use
don't
my
you?
numbers if you want to. I don't like that's kind of why I brought
But
them
you're
on as well.
pregnant.
You're
Yeah.
pregnant.
I knew it.
Yes.
Is it going to be a boy or a girl?
You are 50% Chinese.
Yeah. And Pakistani. Yeah. There. Now,
You're Pakistanese.
Yeah, there we go.
now, so this is why it's important to always have a blood test first.
Yeah.
So we know what your markers are. Secondly, there is
I mean, how messed up do you think my markers would be from using over-the-counter products over the many years that I've been in the fitness game? How many people do you see that are in that kind of
look.
field?
The thing is, when you look at someone, the first thing you look at, for example, is the skin and complexion. Okay.
Which we can all agree is gorgeous.
Now, I can't see that you look lovely, and I can't see any acne on your shoulders. Your skin looks pretty good. I can't see any flakiness. There's no real whiteness around here, sort of that dry mouth
This is what
syndrome.
happens. These are all things.
These are all things you can pick up there. I mean, I haven't seen your ankles, but it doesn't look like you've got any swelling.
Oh, no, that 12-year-old Asian ankle joints there.
Yeah, very delicate, aren't they?
Yeah, look at those.
Yeah.
Pretty little things.
Yeah, a little dainty. Now, so we can't see any of that. So generally, we'd assume you'll be okay. Things like you've still got good hair. Your hair
Yeah.
hasn't dropped out.
Yeah.
All of these are a multitude of factors. So one of the
What
things
about yellowing of the eyes, I heard was one.
yellowing of the eyes would indicate liver damage, but it can also indicate other things. Now, what the yellow we're looking at is yellow, not that
Like that
alcohol.
sign behind you kind of colour. Like
Yeah,
bad.
not that alcohol-infused yellow you get because you haven't slept for a couple of days and you
Yeah.
get pissed. It's a visible yellow, so we can tell certain things. All of these markers are for your overall health. There could be something. Always, the young people and healthy people do die. People do die. But this myth that we're born to live, it's actually we're born to die.
Yeah.
So enjoy your time while you're here. Now, those sort of markers will indicate as to what your overall health is. Now, when you're young, probably up to 30, 35, you can abuse your body pretty much as you want, which many of us from drugs, alcohol, partying, all sorts
Even
of
smoking,
abuse.
they say, don't they? Up to a certain point,
Smoking,
you can recover
yeah.
from it.
Absolutely, yeah. You can do
Genetically
that.
dependent,
Yeah.
obviously.
Because
Everything we say is genetically dependent.
your body is
but
still,
averages.
Generally speaking, your body is always going to recover. Now, and this applies the same with gear. There's lots of guys in their 20s took a lot of gear, a lot of steroids. They've still got kids. They're fine. They realise, you know what, this was stupid, and they stopped. Which even now, sometimes we get flack from the bodybuilders. Well, you're knocking the game. No, we're not knocking the game. Even Dorian Yates.
Yeah.
No one can fuck with Dorian. Let's be honest. I should train in his gym. I actually painted his gym wall. And he shouted
one in
at me.
Birmingham?
Yeah, and he shouted at me and scared the life out of me when I was 16. Now,
The dungeon.
yeah, the dungeon.
Yeah.
You touch in the showers there, mate. They're
I've
legendary.
been in there for but it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was it'd seen better days.
Yeah, they're like dead bodies in the line about there. Now, even Dorian will acknowledges that it's just gone too far now. Now, then you've got different sections of sport. The physique contest came along. So you can prep someone up, and you can do it in 4 months for a physique show. It can be done.
Scary that, though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
test, train,
You think
master on.
just the level that the drugs have been put to work for that time
It's
frame.
the doses because,
Scary.
you see, when you've got, again, and I don't really care about this aspect of it, we know the sport involves drugs. So we know that,
Yeah.
right? There's no secret about that.
And
And
I
there's,
don't like calling it a sport.
yeah.
No, yeah,
The pageant.
yeah, because it's a beauty pageant.
Yeah,
more than
I
anything.
mean, let's just in the loosest sense
Let's call it
a sport.
competition.
Look, darts is called sport, and it's not really a sport. is it?
That's true. But there's a skill set to that, though.
Yeah.
Where it's one versus one, it's you versus another in that way. There's an
Yeah.
actual scoreboard and you're hitting something. There's
Yeah,
not,
and snooker's
darts isn't an
apparently a
opinion. It's not an
sport.
opinion of whether
Yeah.
you've hit a triple 20.
Well, this is why strongman and powerlifting is so popular now.
Yeah.
You either lift the weight or you don't.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. There's an end
And I mean,
result,
I
yeah.
wouldn't be able to judge the top 4 in the Olympic because they all fucking look amazing.
Don't they? I don't watch it all the time. I watch the highlights, but I remember actually one time watching the live physique one. I think it was because like Steve Cook was in it or something or other.
Yeah.
I got to about competitor 20, and I was blind to
Yeah.
muscle. They all look the same.
They all look incredible.
Yeah.
And as well, there's such a like politics behind it as well. Like I've been to some
Yes.
smaller shows, and then you'll see like the final lineup, and there'll be like some you might see a little bit of kind of diversity in who's a little bit better than the other person, and then the person who kind of was like looking a bit worse wins, and you're like.
There's
And
usually-
multiple people
it's
are like, what
worse
the
than
fuck's
that,
going
mate.
on?
Usually there's a standout dude who blows everyone away.
Yeah,
and
oh, yeah,
they-
yeah,
they-
that's
they
it.
put him second.
Yeah.
Because the other bloke is linked in with the judges.
Yeah, his
has done the show for
coaches.
3 years
Also,
prior.
now what you've got, for example, if you look at, I'll name this guy, Super Ed. Super Ed from Luton, natural athlete. Look at him he's probably got 1,500 followers, humble guy, has broken strength world records, broke them at the Fit Expo, broke them at the Arnold's, hasn't lost a comp, no sponsors, nothing at all. Why?
Nobody, he doesn't look great.
Yeah, he's not the judge's favourite. He's ripped, he's shredded.
He is.
Yeah, quiet, humble guy, but he's a quiet guy. He doesn't go in, I'm going to fuck this weight up. He goes up, he lifts, and he goes home. Now, the industry doesn't want people like this. They really don't, because he's natural as well.
So you don't want him beating the guys.
No, and he's beaten everybody, especially at the Arnold's. And he's available for a muscle biopsy, which very few bodybuilders or athletes are, for CT scans, DEXA scans, you name it, he's up for it.
It's your dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, he's a genetic freak. Why isn't he on different shows and different programs advocating that?
Personality is so huge now.
There.
You can be not the top of your sport and be the most popular guy. Look at the UFC.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck who has the belt anymore.
No.
It's who's the most fun and exciting to watch.
And McGregor, as someone who's lost, is still the big draw.
Still the big draw, and he's lost 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? The YouTuber who the
Jake
boxing
Paul
guy?
or
Jake
Logan
Paul's
Paul.
proving the point. Yeah,
Yeah, they're proving
pure
that.
amateur boxer.
Yeah.
drawing
But
in as
he's
much
doing
money
it.
as pro boxing fights.
And I think what you've got now in bodybuilding for the first time, definitely in my lifetime, and I'm old, is that bodybuilders can earn money through coaching.
Yeah, and
And the detrimental side of that
they
is,
suck at coaching.
well, what I will tell you,
Let's be honest, they do. Most of them, because my side, before you say what you know, is my opinion would be a lot of the bodybuilders are bro, have been for many years. They don't even understand macros. Now, if they understand a macro diet already, I'm going to think, okay, well, they're ahead of the game. Maybe they're going to be okay. But the bro splits that they have are gear dependent as to why they work.
absolutely.
So you take that out of the makeup of what they're giving to a client, it's not going to work. They're going to plateau out fast, and especially if they've got no idea of macros or actual diet. Then how are you going to be a coach? Like, how are you going
We've
to be a coach?
done a survey of 10,000 people. It's a study being published
Let's see if this is right.
in August with New Bucks University and King's. Out of 10,000 people, 71% of those were buying steroids from their coach.
Of course they were. This is what I've said
Okay,
all the time.
now Now, see, this is interesting now, isn't it? So they're buying steroids from their coach. So does it mean it's economically viable for the coach to encourage steroids?
Of course, if he's selling
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Although I don't know if there'd be much of a markup on.
Well, there is.
Is there?
There's huge markup.
Is there?
Yeah,
Ah.
huge.
Because
Okay.
another problem with steroids is it's often the same price as the over-the-counter products.
Yeah, but steroids are I mean, the margins are ridiculous.
Really,
Okay. And,
eventually.
yeah,
There we go.
just come here, we'll make a
No
lab.
one-
Right, round here in the jungle.
Crew
we can
labs.
Make, we can make a lab here, no problem.
Yeah, I'm,
Nobody will
I'm
find
far
out.
too small. No one would buy gear off me.
Now, so 71% of people had said that their coach sells them gear or gives them somebody's number to collect the gear. Okay, so it's linked. Now, so you're charging for a training plan, a nutrition plan, and you're selling the gear. You've got 3 sources of income. You didn't have this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a global market. As long as you're looking massive and you've got a look, people will come to you. Now, I can tell you, hand on heart, there, I can name you several, which I'm not going to name you for confidential reasons, but I can name you several social media known personalities, coaches who have serious health problems themselves. Okay, through the abuse of gear,
What, UK based?
UK based and
Really?
globally, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them,
I'd think American because it's just so.
It's even worse over there because at least
widespread.
in the UK, they're like in America, some places it's illegal to take steroids. They have to lie about it completely. In the UK, some of them can be open that they take it, but then it's the legality is different, isn't it?
I just
In
thought
the
with
UK to
Mexico
America.
being on the border of America,
I
there's
think that
more
the-
flooding into that country.
the thing is in Britain, after in Europe, is the number 1 country for gear.
Really?
Okay, Cardiff has the highest.
Makes sense though. We've got a big bodybuilding community.
Just to give you stats here, again, boring stats.
Everybody in Wales is on gear.
From the age of 9. And that's just the girls. Right. Now, 70% of all steroid users in the UK, 70.3% are white. The second batch of people are Pakistanis.
See, I would have gone the other way around. Because I know I worked on adults for many years. I was surrounded by a lot of Asian guys and stuff like that, and some looked phenomenal, some looked awful. They all took the same amount of gear.
Yeah.
Like when
Now,
they were doing it.
but remember, out of the 6% of the population being South Asian, of that 6%, it's the highest number of steroid
Hang on,
users.
do we know the percentage of what did you say? Pakistani specifically.
Yeah.
What percentage are they of our actual population
Well, this
in
one
Britain?
could
Though?
4.2 roughly, give or take.
So if you work it out in that way,
Yeah, it
they're
works
more
out to be
prolific.
14%.
14.
Yes. Of if you break up the demographics.
all
So even-
Pakistanis.
No, not all.
Nowhere else.
What?
No, but-
No, that can't be right.
But if you work out this, that let's say for the sake of argument, there's 1 million Pakistanis in Britain, which there's more, but there's
Yeah,
1 million.
let's just make it
Take
simple.
out all the mums and the aunties and your sisters and your grand and your 16 cousins and then their cousins. Take all them out of gym users, of actual the cuzzy bro gym user.
Yeah.
That's the technical term, scientific term. Cuzzy bro gym user. Out of that gym user, let's say there's 100,000. From that 100,000, probably more than 70% are taking gear.
Shit.
Now, whether people like it or not, because now the cuzzy bros are going to be saying, "Oh, come on, Doc, what
No,
you say
but
that for?"
come on.
Right?
It's
But
almost.
the thing is, it's true. Now, there are some social theories relating to this from,
Yeah.
the little kid who gets sand kicked in the face. Now, not every cuzzy bro is 6'6" like me, right? That's just a weird genetic, freaky type of thing. But you have got kids who are getting bullied, so they take a bit of gear, and they've got the whole psychological disposition which comes with one of the main theories of taking gear.
Yeah.
Now, so
It's
you've got,
almost a social thing, I think, as well, though.
in the last of 25 years of doing this, I have never seen the doses which I see today. I've never seen
They've definitely
these
got
doses.
stupider.
Yeah.
They've definitely got dumber.
Also, the gear's not as good.
Yeah, I don't know about
The gear was farmer gear in the old days.
It was real, was it?
Yeah,
in the
it
old,
was
right?
real, legit. So, for example, VAR was 2.5 mg. Now VAR's 50 mg. The two,
What is?
Anavar.
VAR.
Is that not a pill?
Yes, a pill, yeah. Now, that used to be 2.5 mg, and today it's 50 mg, and that 50 mg is shit.
So what else is in that pill? What else are in these pills then?
Well,
just
I've got some analysis from there from just fillers, sugars.
Anything toxic?
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of stuff. I mean, we've got some analysis which I should have brought with me. Some strap viruses was in there, some fungus in some of these tubes. We've got vials. We tested
So where they're being stored has got actual bacterial.
Look, you've got a guy having a spliff, mixing some coke, roasting some bottles in the esters in the thing, rats walking around. I mean, look, it's when do you ever trust a drug dealer? Let's be totally honest.
This is what I try and tell people is, and you know what's funny? I had a guy come up to me in the gym the other day. Competitions, people talk about competitions, and can we remove this dead cow from you, or just in case you get too squeaky? Not this.
Oh, this dead cow.
Yes, this dead cow that we love to drape on ourselves.
It is vegan friendly.
Yeah, mine aren't. Mine are pure, all dead cow. Is it actually?
No.
I was going to say, yeah. No, because you can get them now. This leather, can't you?
This is Pakistani buffalo, handmade
down there,
by a friend of mine. So if you ever want these made,
I do.
It's a
I love
fraction of the
anything.
cost with the Kevlar inside.
That's
and
got
the whole-
Kevlar in it.
No, I'll take it out.
Yeah, but
you
you've
can't
got the pockets for it.
Yeah, all at the back, completely padded for the bike.
It's lovely retro.
I'm going to
look,
kill
that,
myself
isn't
on
it?
a bike. So
We need to ride then because you ride. We need to go on a.
you need to teach me because I'm a shit
Oh,
rider.
easy. Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get. We've got. Have you got comms on your helmet?
But normally
Right.
we shout at each other.
No. You need to get the Pack Talk
Hello.
Ricardo Pack Talk.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm on a motorbike.
Remember Dom Jolly?
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause we are not.
It's the best thing you'll do. You get Cardo Pack Talk, microphone in your helmet, and you just talk to each other like when you're.
Yeah, 'cause I do. I mean, I'm
Beautiful piece of
I'm
kit.
big enough to say I do need some help because I do.
Oh, the cuts.
No,
Oh, hold on,
no,
no, the punch cuts aren't they?
Oh, the cutters downstairs. Is
No,
it?
it's all right. The punch cuts aren't. I forgot.
Oh, we don't need it. Yeah. Well done, Luke. Yeah.
I'm going to tell my mum 2 white guys forced me.
Yeah, we bullied you into it. Because
hold
combined, we're taller than you.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be included in that,
Yeah.
that measurement section. The mind.
And I'm only
in the
half
corner.
white.
Sorry?
I'm only half
You're
white as well.
half white,
So
yeah.
1.5 white guys bullied him
He's
into it.
actually part. What?
Pakistani?
Yeah, but what is it?
Kashmir.
Kashmir.
Yeah. Well, when I saw the name, then I did speak to him.
What are you, Lex? Like you part Cypriot or something?
Cypriot, yeah. The English Rose and Cypriot. I'm split right down the middle. But then I think part of my family is a bit French in it as well, because my middle name is French. Where
What were we
we
talking
so
about?
yeah, so in the gym the other day,
Yeah.
someone was talking about and this was where my issue comes with diet. Tell me about diet. And big guy who's on, he's in week 3 of a 12-week diet. Guess the calories he's already on. He's about 6'3", and he's a unit, a decent unit, not like
2,000
his
calories.
First competition, nope. 1,800 in week 3. I was like, I literally said to him, "Cool, you're gonna die, and your coach knows nothing." I said, "I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but you are gonna feel and look like shit." And I said, "Take it you're not tested."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, no, not tested, show." And my first question was, "Is your coach selling you the drugs?" Because that's the way it runs. And this time actually wasn't, which was a surprise to me. But it turns out, I won't go further into it because local people might listen. But that's the knowledge. The coach had come out of doing different styles of coaching to do this as a first thing, and just completely missed where he needs to
Look,
be.
it
at
has
with
to be said, there are some good coaches who are
Some
responsible.
fantastic coaches.
And some of them I know personally, big names will tell the clients off. And what the client does, he leaves and finds a guy who won't tell him off.
Yes.
But
yeah.
at least the coach is not morally responsible for that. And I mean, for example, within the strongmen, I know 2 coaches. If I name them, everybody will say, well, you're biased to them. But I can tell you there's coaches who are great coaches who are restricting the client's gear use. Ultimately, you can't force somebody.
Yeah.
It's their choice. Where the problem is, you see, if you're competing, you know what you're doing. You're a fully grown adult. You can do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
The problem I have is that 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, semi-vulnerable, he wants to be big. He sees the big guys. He wants to be a part of a clique, a subculture. He wants to be big, fit.
Culture, that's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
and it's a subculture within a subculture. So he'll go to the guy, and the guy will give him a cycle, and then the road to ruin has started. He doesn't know about nutrition. He doesn't know about training.
And let's be honest, they're going to see results.
Yeah.
And that's the bad part.
Well,
of
there
it.
was that study done, and it was basically on sedentary people. They weren't even allowed to do high intensity cardio, and they dosed them. It was, I can't remember what it was, like 50 milligrams, 100, 150, 300, 500. And it was like their lean muscle mass over. It was quite a long duration. I think it was like a 16-week study or something like that. And these people were completely sedentary. They weren't no resistance training, no high intensity. I think they could do like some long distance running. That was literally it. And it tracked their muscle mass. And in that like 16-week period, the people on like, I'm sure it was like the 300 milligrams and 500 milligrams of test gained more lean muscle mass than what most people do with training in a year.
Well, look, Collins, who's an American lawyer, who does a lot of steroid cases,
Yeah.
the defense. And he was asked in a public inquiry when the whole baseball thing was going on and every guy was positive. Why are people taking it? And he said, are you guys stupid? Because they work. They work. It's as simple as that. Testosterone works. It works.
Yeah. I think the problem is people don't know that it works even at low levels because, again, it's not this acute reaction.
Yeah.
You need to, and if you want muscle, no matter what you're taking, to develop real long-term muscle and develop those fibers, it takes time regardless of the drugs. So you can swell up and look bigger and look great, but the moment you come off whatever's doing that, you're going to shrink back down, you're going to lose that water, you're going to lose that positive nitrogen
you're
retention.
a genetic beast of a man or woman, an absolute genetic phenomena, in a year, how much muscle do you think you can put on naturally?
You're right. Yeah.
Right. How much would you say?
In a year,
yeah.
4 pounds of lean muscle.
Yeah. Now, it's been estimated that a genetic beast, and I'm talking about total genetic, could be anywhere between 6 and 8 kg a year of max. Now, this is an insane...
Oh, hang on. Are we talking overall body weight or lean body mass?
No, an actual mass. Now, this would be a genetic freak.
So overall mass,
would that be in
their overall weight or their actual,
actual
lean
muscle
body?
mass?
So taking away all, just getting down to
just
skeletal
muscle.
and organ.
Now,
Yeah.
a genetic magnificent athlete is 0.00001%, which none of us are. Okay, so we're probably looking at 4 to 5 pounds if we're lucky.
I think, yeah.
Now, steroid cycle, 15 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. And then you've got the whole glycogen process of energy synthesis better, the osmotic process is better. So they do work. But with youngsters, what the young guys don't understand, if they eat and don't... Now, the endocrine system matures at about 24,
This is very
25.
important.
This is the key
this is what
important
people
point.
don't understand.
Now, as a man, as a male, believe it or not, you don't really mature until you're 24, 25. That's when you're a proper man. Okay, as in endocrinologically, your body's formed. You're not going to grow anymore. You've done your growing.
I don't think I was a proper man by that point. I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure it was like...
I still can't grow a fucking beard.
I think it took me till
That's
about...
the white part in you.
I know exactly.
The
Look
black
at
skin
that.
would be
Look
hairy
at
as
my
well.
arms.
He's-
I've got no hair.
He's
Like,
got Chinese body hair level.
that is my hair.
Look at him.
Like, what the fuck? My
I'm
dad,
not going to touch your nipples. What I can see
my
is
dad
there,
had a
yeah.
beard when he was like about 12, I think, and like, well, I don't know what went on with me. I'm fucking
You've got hair
hairless.
in all just the right places.
Yeah,
So
just
we came back from summer holidays at 12 and we had beards and hairy legs. We typical Pakistani. That was just the girls.
Maybe you missed
mate.
the sun. Maybe you didn't get the reaction from the sun.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
So that gene didn't get turned on.
photosynthesis,
Yeah.
mate. That's what powers
Look,
me.
that's it. That's your 6 weeks of summer only.
Yeah.
He went out to Pakistan. He was out there for
Yeah.
like 15 weeks in the sun. Just
Had some buffalo milk. Came
you
back
could
with
have
it.
That must be
been.
it.
You could have been 6'6".
I know. Fuck.
Fucking
knew
British
it.
summers.
Now, so your body will mature at about 24, 25. So when you have an intervention of testosterone or any cycle, you've now got your endocrine system and you put a bleep into it.
Yeah, you stunted its
Its
growth. Yeah.
Now you'll go off cycle, you'll get a drop, and you'll come back to you hoped what your levels were.
They're quite resilient, sort of that.
But you'll never really know what your natural level was because you have put a blip into it. One cycle may not make a difference. 3 may not. Definitely more than that will. Again, the data correlates to this. So when people disagree with this, I find it very hard to get into discussions or arguments, is because I've got too much data which disputes what bro science is or what somebody's saying. And I don't, I'm not into getting discussions or debates about this subject. Now, so you'll never really know what you're at. So what we've got now, King's College in London, they have got several hundred young men who are infertile from taking steroids under 28.
Now, do they have a hope of being reactivated?
Well, you see, this is another Pandora's box. Once the Leydig cells have changed their shape in the testicles, that shape is never coming back.
So what do you mean by that?
You have cells within the testicles
Yeah.
that are producing testosterone. Once their shape has changed,
It literally deforms them.
yes, that's not coming back.
saw
Now, you have millions of these cells. You don't have just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
If you pass a certain line, which that line is different for everybody else. Because remember, we don't know if they would have had low testosterone, low infertility anyway.
Right, yeah,
we don't know. Now, if you go back to your school days when you were hairless, at 15, for example, look,
29 still hairless.
right. Now, you look at school, go back, you had those big fucking kids, and you had the little skinny kids, and you had some kids who were like monsters.
Yeah.
Now, who would have technically had more testosterone?
You thought the monster boys.
The monster kids, yeah. And the other ones, the little quiet little kids, kids maybe didn't. So a very general. I don't want people saying, "Oh, but that's bullshit." I was a big kid, but I was fucking weak. But generally, the bigger kid, like the kids who play rugby,
Yeah.
you know,
Hit puberty earlier.
Yeah,
because
more
they're strong.
aggressive, more
Yeah, we had a
muscle.
kid at school at 13. He was playing with the 18-year-olds in the sixth form.
Yeah,
That was and he actually ended up killing someone. Went to prison.
Fuck.
So that was destined for him.
Yeah.
Now, when we have that sort of situation, so if you're younger, you're bigger, you'll generally have more testosterone. That in a very loose way continues your whole life. So when you get the bigger, stronger guys, they generally tend to be bigger, stronger when they're older. Now, the big, strong guy, if he's, for example, doing 140 bench, no big deal. The smaller guy may have to take gear to reach that 140 bench.
Yeah.
The bigger guy takes gear, he's gone to a 200 bench, whereas the smaller guy will never get to a 200 bench.
Yeah.
This is that mind gap.
Where the smaller guy's going to try and get to that 200.
He's going to try to get it.
This is,
Now, you've got some fantastic, saying that you've got some amazing lifters who are small guys, as in height-wise, weight-wise. The 90 kg bracket is phenomenally
obviously, you're
competitive.
talking in just a variable. You're giving people a
Yeah,
variable. to look
I'm
at.
talking about the elite athletes. We're not talking about those.
It's
now.
more
We're
the
talking about
mentality.
the normal guy.
You're touching on that the correct mentality, and it is these. The problem is in this era, I think, is the mentality of they think more is better, and it's just not the case. There's a saturation point for the body for starters.
Absolutely.
And once you reach that, anything above that saturation point is basically side effects.
Now, to explain the saturation point, I think your glass here is very good. If this is how much your body can use, if you start filling this up, it's going to spill over. That spillover are side effects.
Yeah, so that's when we're talking about bad skin, acne,
Infertility, impotence.
Now, what about temperament? Is that a side effect, or is that just
You
going
see,
to be
look, if
there
you're a
regardless?
cunt,
This is what I say. If you're
a cunt and you take gear, you become a bigger cunt.
Yep.
Simple as that.
I've met people who have stayed absolutely the same when they've gone to like Great Britain level bodybuilding. They've been absolutely fine all the way through. Then I met other guys who've taken it within a couple of months and their attitudes just through the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
But they were always a little bit of an asshole prior, but now they think they're an asshole that's king of testosterone.
I know somebody who burned the mother's house down. He was on train for 5 years. He's actually institutionalized now. He went from a nice, timid, quiet kid with behavior issues to being a psychopath with behavior issues.
Have you seen some of these trend stories online? And like, trend made me gay and things like that, where people become like hypersexualized because of...
Well, the hypersexualization is really interesting because there are plenty of studies, go into research again, etc., of some real deviant behavior of steroid users. Now, this is the dark thing nobody wants to talk about, and
Well,
nor do I.
The weird shit, like, even in the corner over there, you can agree with this. When you're growing up and you become you're in your teenage years and all you're doing is playing sport, jacking off and not sleeping.
Yeah.
Some of the thoughts you have...
As a good Muslim, I'm not going to say
some of the thoughts
that term, jacking off.
Some of the thoughts you have, though, isn't it, when you're younger?
Yeah.
Whilst going, having a good time with yourself, afterwards are shameful. They're and you think, well, how did that even pop? Because the moment it's done, the moment you've got that dip, you've had that explosion, and the testosterone's kind of at its peak, and does that same idea will not enter your head, other than in that moment.
I unfortunately recently somebody sent me a video on WhatsApp of an extremely well-known bodybuilder and some fitness girls, bodybuilding girls, in a hotel, up to all sorts of nasty, seedy stuff. Now, this had gone fairly viral. And
you still have this video?
I'll show you afterwards. Now, the thing is, this was one of the girls I know and one of the guys I know. Now, this is that case of hypersexualization, and to be honest,
but is it an elevation of that same teenage kind of just?
Look, it's too much testosterone. Is it? Nobody can deny it.
Is it just bringing that back effectively?
But
in an adult,
it's giving you that
brain.
basal sort of thing, because you're not getting, the normal stuff, whatever is normal, isn't a buzz anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to go more. Now,
So a bit like an adrenaline junkie, the same thing.
Now, what you hear this all the time. Countless studies have been done on this, countless interviews. One of the things which we're doing in our research, we've interviewed over 1,000 people, and we'll be interviewing more than another 5,000 over the next 4 years. People are extremely honest of some of the things they've done and the behavior they regret on high doses. And this topic does come up. Some people are very open. Look, we were very abusive to our partners. We were indulging in all sorts of behavior. And you remember you in society you will pay for everything, unfortunately. So one of the girls who came to see me, she was on one of these videos. She said, "Look, I can't get a relationship with people."
God, no.
Right.
Especially the video still floating around.
How could you? I mean, it's going to be very difficult. So you end up being very promiscuous. You're taking you're taking certain drugs. It's affecting your personality, your behaviour, the vanity, the narcissism part of it.
Is that going to be worse in females? Because obviously, naturally, they would have
I think the
minuscule
problem
levels
is
of
that
testosterone.
everybody will now say you're being misogynist, and of course it fucking is.
Well, physiologically, we're completely different.
Look, I mean, of course it is.
You had that level of testosterone into a system that shouldn't ever be anywhere near that.
No.
I mean, you would have to times 5 the male system to make it the same effect or something. Is it anything near
I'd say
that?
a lot more than that.
More? Holy shit! Poor women.
You're looking at 4 times on a minimum level. You're looking at 4 times on a middle level. You're looking at 15 times more.
Wow. Yeah. Try and hold a man down 15 times up.
Has anybody seen?
Pets wouldn't be safe.
Has anybody seen a clitoris of a female bodybuilder? Who's
I've seen
jacked up?
pictures of it. I've never seen one in real life.
Well,
They
I've-
get to like an inch and a bit.
Yeah,
don't they?
I've seen it in real life.
Really?
And,
Now is that reversible?
no, not fucking
done.
way, no.
Done.
Not at all.
See, for what? That's what I mean. They're
The jaw.
irreversibly changing their
I mean,
bodies.
look, I've again,
It's sad.
and I'll try to get one of these girls. She'd more than happily come on your podcast and talk about it because she's been
Really?
through this process.
That would be amazing.
A horrible process she's been through, where she has to shave.
Still,
Yeah, well now she's had it all done
I was
by
going to say laser. Yeah.
She's got permanent physiological damage to herself. Voice is permanently changed. She has to wear a wig, and her life has been
A wig.
ruined.
It made a bold.
Yeah, and she was competitive, but her life got ruined because when you're sometimes doing something, as we've all done, because you're in that
bubble.
subculture,
The bubble.
you don't see shit.
Yeah.
It's
All of your mates are in that bubble. You're in that bubble.
yes.
Everyone else is a wanker as far as you're concerned because you're with the guys, you're with the lads here.
This is such a true thing, and it happened to me on obviously not a bad scale like that. It was just a
Do you
simple
have a
thing
giant
as
clit
yeah, I've got yeah. invested
Lex
in
has a giant clit.
Yeah. No, it was no giant clit, but it was a giant wake up call. I'd been working so much and traveling so much within the fitness industry that for a period of, I don't know, 6 months, I was basically just in the fitness industry or with fitness people.
Yeah.
When that stopped and I had a little bit of a break, I went to an opens, just a normal spa for a spa weekend that someone had bought me or was it something or other. And when I went into the spa area with the swimming pools where everyone hangs out, I couldn't believe the body shapes of people I was seeing around me. And then it clocked on to no, these are normal human beings.
Yeah.
I'd just been around this small percentage of society for so long.
Yeah.
It had warped in such a short time. I literally was almost taken back by it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, you were in a real bubble. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it. Now imagine that on top of drugs that are affecting your mentality, the drugs that are requiring you to do what you do as what you want to be your profession, which sadly most of it doesn't become that way. You can see how it's basically you're a drug addict, but an addict to the lifestyle.
Yeah, and it
Because
is that
this-
almost cult mentality in a certain way. It's not intentional, but it does distort your vision.
And it's so niche.
To give you another example, one of my clients called me from Dubai, had no money, went on a business class flight for Instagram, hired some cars there, had no money now to get back.
You are kidding me.
No.
You are kidding me.
No, and had no money. So
Is
I
this
said-
an active influencer right now?
Yeah.
Show me afterwards.
Right. And then, so what I did, I will show you, you'll see when he's in Dubai and all this sort of stuff.
That's so irresponsible.
Now,
especially
the
if you got
whole, now
followers.
what happened, he was promised some photo shoots in Dubai, which didn't materialise, so I had no money. The
He
trip
was
cost,
going to be paid for the photo shoots, was he?
he's probably paid for them, but
He was meant to be paid, or
Yeah.
he'd paid for them.
No, he was meant to be paid, but he didn't get paid, and ultimately he was £30,000 down of 30 grand he never had, which he owes to people. Wow. This is that lifestyle.
Stupid, that is.
I mean, let's be honest. The Instagram, I'm a bit older, so I did my first university essays were handwritten. That's how old I am. It's people look like, So we wrote them in pencil, and then we wrote them, and then we gave them for a typist for a $5, who should type them up with Tipex. Yeah. Which we all sniffed as well. Everyone has tried sniffing Tipex. Everyone has done that. And but that seems like a lifetime away now. So for us, it's not really that important, but we have to use it as a part of business. Yeah. But with some of these guys, because they look good. Now the problem is this: in the 70s or in the 80s, in my era, for example, if you look at Jeff Capes, anybody remember Jeff Capes, the old guy, the world's strongest man? He should deadlift 300 kg.
Yep.
Everybody fucking deadlifts 300 kg for the heavyweights now.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's no
What
big
did,
deal.
what did Thor do?
501.
Yeah. Now that was his PB. He won on the 300 dead. 17-year-old kids are doing 300 deads now.
Yeah. I had a mate, natural, he was pulling close to 350.
Right.
What's that drug that can make you literally stronger that strongmen take? We were trying to think of this the other week and we didn't know what it was.
There are so many drugs.
It's a
There's
pill.
one, it's like an acute
It
one.
literally makes you. They take it for competition lifting.
There's NAP50s will make you stronger. There's checker drops will make you stronger.
What's that
Check
one?
drops.
Yeah,
that's,
That's
yeah.
it, yeah.
There's all sorts of
I've
things.
heard
I mean,
Because naps still don't they put? Which is the one that makes you balloon up?
They put water on, but they make you extremely strong.
That's the one that makes you balloon up. The nap one. So it's not that
Isn't
one.
it like
It's that
something
other
that-
one.
The checker drops.
doesn't it like ramp up your? Isn't it like? I don't know.
It's insane. I never knew
something
that
like.
existed until I met a strongman and he
No,
told me.
look, I mean, the guys are taking coke before lifts.
Wow, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
again, I
Fire up the
will
nose.
tell you this now. There are coaches, and I've seen this. The coaches are telling some of the fitness girls to take a bit of coke when they're dieting.
To stop them being hungry.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can see now how the health and fitness industry is going crazy.
That's
Now, no coach would ever say directly take it, but if they say, "Look, do you think I should take a bit of coke? Do you think it'll help me?" Well, yeah, it will. You see, so
that's a sad state of
now
affairs,
the
isn't
fear is amongst the health authorities, and everybody says, "Oh, what the fuck do these doctors know? I've been taking gear 20 years, nothing's happened." Well, so lots of people took it, and something has happened.
Yeah.
You may be like that. The granny who's been smoking 100 Park Drive a day and eating lard, and she lives up to 98. You may be one of the lucky ones.
I know girls that were told straight away take Anavar because it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the lowest dose of Anavar can permanently thicken their vocal cords for life.
Yeah.
The amount of girls I've said, "What the fuck? No, do not do that," and then showed them like, "Go read this, go read that." It will fuck you. But they're told like take it like it's creatine.
I wish I could play a voice recording, but
We can get you back on to do some more in-depth stuff because we're
one of
already 45 minutes in
well,
and we've got to hit questions yet.
Yeah, and
So-
one of the girls, fitness girls, her coach had told her, and she called me up, and I started actually laughing on the phone call, and I said, "What did I tell you?" You know, her voice had changed.
you start rasping.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, and where'd you go?
Yeah.
It's the gremlin laughs that get me at the shows. You hear them all lining up. I would used to sit and just watch them all queuing up, and they'd just be like, "I got this," and you'd hear this, and it would just ricochet around the room as they all started. It all was the same voice.
That's quite a good impression there.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Oh, I used to sit there
it's-
just.
You sure you weren't Vicky, the bodybuilding competitor before?
I used to be called Lexi.
Natural, of course.
Yeah. It's honestly it's sad, and they do get blind to it, and it's this thing of if anything, if you look at yourself in the mirror too much, I try and sway people away from this. Don't stare at yourself every day. Don't judge yourself every day because you'll literally become blind to changes.
It's another addiction, isn't it? It's a narcissistic addiction where you're always sort of checking your arms. You're always doing
In a critical, not positive way.
And
that's the thing.
you could never be happy. It's a dysmorphia. You will never be big enough, strong enough, or lean enough.
I think people.
ever.
It really needs to be made aware that it is.
I think it's important that people like you. See, if we say it, they say, "Oh, what the fuck do these guys know? They're a bunch of nerds."
I mean,
but if you say it, people will listen.
I've had it where I can remember at the time we were doing expos, and I used to diet like I was dieting for a bodybuilding show to do the expos. We used to come in diced. We looked great in photos. We were jacked up on pre-workout the entire fucking time, nitrogen positive
Jack
for
3D.
like 10 days straight. We all died afterwards for like 3 days. We were always sick afterwards. But I remember feeling not in shape, and I look at the pictures now, and I was fucking like I was like. I would happily look like that right now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't feel like because it wasn't better than the year before or something like that. I was comparing. You're comparing your elite level physique to trying to get another elite level physique, but be better than that one. But you already peaked here.
Yeah.
But you forget that. You forget that this isn't this never-ending ladder. That you can't.
So it
does
tapers
have
off,
a
doesn't
point.
it?
Yeah.
See, look, when you get older and wiser, apparently, I look at people like Shane Flowers now, who we sponsor. 420 deadlift at 26. Okay. My entire life I never did more than 350. And I'm looking at this kid who's half my age.
Yeah. Just,
Which is just fucking ridiculous. Now, if you have the mindset, right, I'm going to try to do that. Doesn't matter how much gear you take, you're not going to do a 420 dead.
yeah.
Because Shane is a freak.
So do you say this now to everyone who's listening? How important, no matter what drug you're taking, the basic thing is structured lifting and programming. How fundamental is that?
It's your life. It could be your life.
Yep. And that's what it has to be for these boys.
Yeah, it could be your
Even with the
kidneys.
drugs.
Now, you've got to remember that these guys are eating precision food. They're training. They're resting. They're essentially professional athletes now.
Yeah.
And this is what they do.
But most people will say it's the drugs.
And they're freaks.
Yes.
The drugs,
Yes.
because I know with Shane and lots of other guys, it's the icing on the cake for them. Is that because they are freaks? Try working out. You see all this new bullshit as well. Your 35-minute workout, and you're going to catabolize, and you're going to metabolize, and you've got to have your pre-workout, your intra-workout, your post-workout, your fucking cream of rice. What is cream of rice? Ground rice powder.
Yeah, it is.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Did Arnie ever have? I mean, what are they talking about? With digestive enzymes to digest something which is powdered even quicker.
Yeah.
It's pure bro.
Yeah, so
a lot
you've
of
got this digestive system which is, coming out from here right to your rectum, which is all of these miles long, which is designed to break down food, and you're putting in processed food with digestive enzymes to fuck up your own digestive system. It doesn't make any
Hang on,
sense, does
if
it?
we switched here now, if we switched to what have we switched to, because this is bad. So before we were saying how important the structure of the programming is.
Yeah.
Are you now saying that
I'm saying
most
that
people's
no.
diet alongside isn't
What
good?
I'm saying to you, these elite athletes know what they're doing.
They're not doing the cream of rice bullshit.
They're not doing
Right,
that
got
bullshit.
you, okay.
They're eating. It's the average. It's unfortunately the average guy in the gym who looks at him, who's following all of. Just look at any kid's Instagram. You'll see what his psyche is.
Yeah.
Okay, if he's looking at all the top of skills, you've got his psyche. If he's looking at all the guys lifting, the bodybuilders, physique guys, you'll know. They are not doing, as we said about Phil Heath, jogging in the mountains in Nevada.
Like his fucking
Of course
Rocky.
he's not fucking jogging.
That was hilarious. I remember when that first opened up, because isn't that one of the opening scenes of the movie?
Yeah, it is.
And I remember it started, and I went, they fucked it.
Yeah.
This isn't yet. No, they
Yeah,
fucked it.
yeah,
They're
it's
lying
bullshit.
already.
Of course they're lying. So if you're now a kid and you decide to go in the hills in Shrewsbury to go running at 300 pounds because Phil Heath. Now, I've seen a kid once.
They will. That's what they'll do.
But this is the problem. So I've seen a kid once doing some weird type of cable crossover. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I've seen what's that guy, the massive white geezer, Mr. Olympia."
Chris Bumstead.
No, old timer.
Oh,
blonde,
white guy.
blonde.
Oh, Jay Cutler.
Yeah, he said, I saw Jay Cutler do it. And I said, Jay, you're not fucking Jay Cutler. You're not Mr. Olympia.
No, and-
You've got 12-inch arms. You weigh 68 kg. But he's got his vest. He's got his iPhone on his arm. He's got his pre-intra during thing.
Yeah.
They're the kids who will take the gear and get ill.
yeah.
Jay Cutler won't because he's got professionals looking
One of the
after him.
smartest bodybuilders of all time. I
But
think, Jay
professionals with him, doctors, CT scans. Again, I know of bodybuilders who are having CT scans twice a year.
Cutler. Do you know who's also really clever? And I don't know,
Kevin Levrone.
Yeah, well, he's a different kettle of fish, but because he came in and out. But Dexter Jackson.
Dexter
You see
Jackson,
the weight he lost straight off coming off?
Yeah.
Just got straight back into being healthy. Same with Jay Cutler. Because they realised they can't walk around at 260 odd pounds without their heart giving up. So they immediately both lost 30,
Yeah,
40 pounds.
Look at Kevin Levrone would be 40, 50 pounds less in the off season.
Now, how much of a freak was LeBron?
Yeah, he was like
Because-
no one did what he did really.
Well, I've actually got
He's
his blood works,
just-
and he is a freak.
Yeah.
Now, you see, this is the thing. When I was younger, in my era, you had the Barbarian. I mean, we're talking about the Barbarian brothers. You had Lee Haney.
Yeah.
You had Dorian. But we didn't really have much gear. We didn't really talk about gear. People ate and they trained. Now, then the new era came along where it's all about gear.
This is the problem.
So this is that fundamental switch. So probably around about 2006.
What do you think caused that?
I think Instagram, social media.
You
Every
think so?
idiot has a voice.
yeah.
You think?
Everybody has a voice now, don't they?
And just more people seeing these
Yeah.
physiques. on
Also, the
more
Love
regular
Island
scale.
syndrome. Remember one of the guys?
I think, the clubbing scene. You know,
Yeah.
whenever it came out, and it's about getting shredded for that one festival.
Yeah.
And the amount of lads I know that would smash Winstrol,
Yeah.
only Winstrol, just to go to Ibiza or go
Yeah.
to a festival. And you sit there going like you realise that you are crushing. You said that's an andro testosterone. It's 5 times the binding affinity of your normal testosterone. The andros, is that correct?
Yeah.
So you're shutting yourself down like a fucking lead balloon from probably week 3, and you're on this stuff for 8 weeks to go to a 2-week holiday. Then they would come back, and I'm not kidding you. I knew multiples of these guys that got bitch tits within 2 years of
Yeah,
doing this.
absolutely. Well-
because they're estrogen positive. So
Yeah.
because of they've only been on androgen, no balance, come off it, no PCTs, bitch tits.
Well, it's a drop down, and
They only ever looked average.
the other thing is accessibility. You couldn't get a hold of gear before.
Yeah. They
You'd
would
have to know the right person to get gear. You can go onto any website now, steroids.biz, numerous websites, but it's
Yeah.
good or fake, it doesn't really matter. Now, it's become such a big business. The NCA, National Crime Squad, I think that's what they're called, they got involved in a case 3 years ago, 118 million, which I reckon was a 3 billion drug circle, where the guy chartered a plane and flew out to India. so they don't arrest him. Okay,
So that's where he's at
now.
now.
This is how big this game is now. There's billions of pounds involved in it.
I didn't know that.
You know, now it's estimated that 1.5 million people in the UK use steroids.
Isn't it the most frequently used drug, more than like
more than weed
weed?
and
Yeah,
everything,
it's,
right?
Coke's actually used more.
Oh, is it Coke now?
But within performance, it's the most. 1.5 million people in the UK use steroids. Now, again, if you take out the old grannies and the granddads, and you take out the kids, you take out the housewives, you take out, the disabled and other factors, it might result in 1 in 15 or 1 in 20 people, which is a hell of a lot. And if you go to Wales, Cardiff, all you see is hench fuckers.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to Wales in a week or so as old people.
No.
Depends on whereabouts in
But
Wales.
you
got-
see them.
Yeah.
So if I went into the
In the
middle part
in
of
the
it.
fitness community, like
They have proper
gear is
gyms
a
there, though,
massive
don't they?
thing.
That's the thing as well. They have that old school gym culture. There.
Yeah.
They
Well,
don't have,
it's a rugby, isn't it? So
of course,
now
yeah.
we've had, for example, parents who've given their kids D-ball.
you are kidding.
No, 100%. And this is not rare. This is so they come in, right, what the fuck are you
What
doing?
age? Kids?
14, 15, 16,
Wow, how stupid are those parents?
right? Because they want the kid to be better at rugby.
Now, just on a side note, how did you meet the parents?
Yeah. They come
Were
with the dead.
they dumb?
Look, they have to
They're
be
more
done to do
naive.
that. But what
They're more naive.
they want is they want to live their dream through their children, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
that is-
played rugby, but wasn't really good enough. But now he wants, because maybe he was a bit weaker, now he wants his kid to be fucking tanked
Think
up.
it was lack of education on their behalf? They knew what they were giving him, or did they know?
I think
they
it's
know.
their own insecurities that they're
They
know.
living
It's like-
vicariously
But
through
that's
their
just child
kids.
abuse.
Look, I heard a sprinter once, and when I used to compete at the crappy level I did, I was a very unsuccessful sort of competitor. But at that phase I had, if you'd said to me, look, hold this charcoal burning for 5 for the lift, I'd probably have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's that mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, when you have someone who is actually talented, is good, not like me, but talented, is good, is winning, is going to the school team, the local district team, and that D-ball might give him the extra 5 kg of muscle, which may help a little bit. It can't be denied. Even UK doping have got over 100 listed cases.
Not only that, your aggression level's going to go up. You're going to not be afraid
Exactly.
of that tackle.
Now,
You're going to take that hit.
what they're not looking at now, the father isn't looking, or the kid, at the consequences 5 years down the line.
This is what I'm saying. No acute reaction, other than maybe a bit of bloating.
Yeah.
or
Now, you
anything
also
like
see
that,
this in MMA. In the non-drug test federations, the guys are killers. They go to the UFC, they're amateur.
Gotta love those federations. Yeah. Like, come on.
Look, they're the most popular.
TRT veto, bring him back. Bring that boy back.
1,000 tests, train.
How
get that
unfair
guy
do you
going.
think it is that they took TRT out of the UFC?
I think it's extremely unfair.
Because they're literally suffering pituitary gland damage from being punched consistently over years and
It's
years.
completely. You see, what happens when you meet some of these fighters, and we work with a lot of them, you'll be surprised how poor the nutrition is.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Do you remember, did you ever watch the behind the scenes ones? The build up, and they had it on YouTube?
Oh,
And there's one with
yeah.
Daniel Cormier, right? And he's fighting. And his dietitian, I'm putting big fucking these thingies.
Air quotes.
Air quotes. I watched him taking thin slices of strawberry out of his salad. Now, strawberry, per 100 grams of strawberries, you're talking like 5 to 7 grams of carb. For someone who's fighting at light heavyweight. I was like, what? And he's paying that moron thousands and thousands of dollars. And that was where I was like, oh, there is no nutrition.
Look,
in
I've got
MMA.
some blood results on me of a Premiership footballer who's low in vitamin D3, he's low in folic acid, he's low in selenium, he's low in zinc, he's low in potassium.
I take all of those.
Yeah, me too.
now, this is a Premiership player. Now, he came to us because he was cramping. So we done these metabolite tests. We found out why it got fixed with him, did an IV for him, made an IV for him, he's fixed. But this is the nutrition for a Premiership player.
Yeah, he's probably earning a fucking
Yeah,
fortune.
they don't know. Now, what you find at tennis players, for example, because whether they're more intelligent or they don't have a team backup, they actually do all the tests and they keep themselves extremely healthy. And tennis has become a very fast and aggressive game now. It's not like the sort of McEnroe type of era.
Yeah.
It's immensely fast, immensely powerful. Jiu-jitsu, you find that they tend to look after themselves much better. But unfortunately, with athletes, especially, it's the money part.
Do you think
They
as well
don't
there's
have much
like
money.
a bias towards certain sports if you're going to pause, I need to piss.
Yeah, I'll pause. You go pee. We'll pause him. We'll come back. Right, so we're back on now. So, remember what it was?
So in terms of like, it's not necessarily the level of intelligence. I suppose it's the class system, which is going to have a bias towards certain sports. You know, there's going to be certain sports that are more middle class orientated, and then generalising people that are kind of middle class, upper class will have better levels of education.
I think
more
a lot of this
research.
will come down to simple finances. If you're a middle class or from a certain background, you can afford to go to a sports scientist, pay £1,000 for a consultation, and they'll advise you what you can do. If you're from a working class background, single parent, you don't have the funds, it's Big Dave down the gym who'll advise you. Yeah, so if you look at certain sports like CrossFit, a CrossFit session can cost more than a monthly gym session.
Yeah.
So it attracts certain people. Squash, motor racing, certain things are expensive sports, whereas you can go to a gym for £20 a month.
Yeah, but that also plays into your societal effect of what they're going to. Like you said, if you're going to a CrossFit place, the chances are people there are going to be, now we're going to be a bit insulting here, but likely to be slightly higher educated level or wealthier level because they're expensive to go to, but also
more disposable income.
Societal thing. You go to this CrossFit thing, it's like a notoriety, you know, and they are a bit cultish, those kind of places.
Oh God, yeah.
So you do end up with a very certain mentality at those kind of places, and they have to come from a certain wealth level a lot of the time.
Look, CrossFit is great, except for all the fucking hugging they do
CrossFit,
afterwards.
mate, is just fight training rebranded.
Yeah, it's just all that
terrible
hugging
form.
after every rep, which winds you up. CrossFit is fantastic.
My issue with CrossFit is not that I love the intensity. I even love the cultism of it, the camaraderie of it, because it does get people fired up, and that's great. What I dislike is it's based on literal get as many numbers as you can, and nobody gives a fuck how you get those numbers. Yeah. And you see people in 10, 15 years, I'm telling you now, you're going to see the most crippled sportsmen from the CrossFit
The amount
industry.
of people I know that are fucked up from CrossFit just because it's reps in time.
It is intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just joints.
Intense,
Joints are getting
it's like jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is so intense. You know, to be a champion, you're an injured guy. I mean, it's
and the intensity of what they
intense,
push. When you watch the games and they're pushing through some of those reps, and you're watching their body contort, and the
whole biomechanics is out.
God, it's cringe. It makes me cringe.
I think at least with things like powerlifting, because to get strong, it takes a long period of time. So when they're training, they're not only just thinking what's going to be the most advantageous for getting the lift, but it's like what's going to keep me healthy so I can carry on training and carry on getting stronger in the long term.
Yeah.
So it's not all the time, but they'll be a little bit more cognitive about what they're doing to their body, how much they're beating themselves up, and they're trying to
I think a lot of it would be,
out.
you know, sort of like a tacit knowledge or self-awareness.
Yeah.
If somebody is looking, I mean, we have lots of guys, like when you came, you know, I don't want to take any steroids. I want to see where I am. I don't want to do anything. How far can I go naturally? And some people will have that view altogether. Yeah. Others are hook or crook. I want to go on a cycle.
And that's it. They're just determined. That's what they're going to do.
So they've made up their mind before they've come to you.
If they do that, do you just accept that you're going to just, we're going to make sure you do it safer?
I would. Like, for example, when you came, I didn't know you from Adam. I gave you the pros and the cons, and I said, best thing is don't. And this is what I say to people. If you're insistent on taking them, look, I can't stop you, but we'll try to keep you as safe as possible. Yeah. Try to keep your doses low. So somebody will say, look, I'm going to take 750 test, 500 tren, I'm going to add in some mass. I'll say, look, all right, take 1 mil test, half a mil tren. If that's what you are going to do, then go
dial
less.
it back. And
would you immediately say, don't do tren?
We'll say that all the time, but people have already made up their mind.
Just tell how bad is tren?
Look, tren is neurodegenerative. It fucks up your liver. It's like your kidneys. It causes all sorts of problems. Your libido is gonna be like a mammoth for the first few weeks, and then it's all over.
And then you're impotent.
You're going down, and you're going down heavy. So, as everybody knows, and me being a good Catholic, is that if you've been ramping 5 times a night with a girl for several weeks, and then you drop, it's hard on you mentally.
I bet, dude.
Right.
I bet.
And in fact, nothing is hard, but it's going
Is
to.
this
Me, I'm a good Catholic, mate, so I don't know about these things. Now, for the girl, there's going to be a problem. So you've got this ego now because you're a fucking animal. You're jacked up. You're rhyming away. Now nothing's happening. So what you do now, you'll start popping some Viagra or Cialis. Then you're going to come for a blood test, right? Then you're going to up the trend. The normal cycle is let's up the trend, let's up the test. Let's do this. So you've signed off with two drugs, and now you're up to 6, 7 drugs. Mm-hmm. Okay, and with the cycle of all of these things, so if you just look at it on things, so you're going to go on to PCT, HCG, tamoxifen, Clomid. You may do Proviron, and you may also do HMG. That's another 5 drugs you're putting in the system.
Proviron?
It's just another sort of steroid, if you like, essentially.
It's not a PCT thing.
No, but it can be quite useful in some cases. Now, it causes an increase in free testosterone. Now, so you might have done a cycle with 5 other drugs. So now in a 4-month period, you've took 10 different drugs. If you look at it logically, does that make any sense whatsoever? It doesn't, does it? No. But it's just a norm within that subculture. And again, I'm not anti-drugs. I'm not anti-steroids.
No, I'm not. I think when I've seen boys do it properly, and like you said, safely.
Yeah, but what I think, what people have to differentiate, the top amateur is there because of his genetics and hard work. Yeah. Not because of the steroids. This is the key point.
These boys would have been
it's the icing on the cake.
Great
Eddie Hall would have been a beast.
Well, he was. He was a fucking freak. Yeah. Did you see pictures of him when he's 16?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, so he was a real high-level swimmer.
Yeah. So if you look at all of these top athletes, they will be top regardless. Okay? And the steroids, the anabolic steroids, point-enhancing drugs are just a tip of the iceberg. Your average guy, your average gym rat, people like me, you were never going to win world titles, ever. So why take doses when we still can't win fuck all?
Yeah.
It's simple.
Why risk it?
Yeah. Now, at every age, between 20 and 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, you have a different outlook on life. When you're 20s, you might not be interested in having a partner and stability and a family. At 30, you might want children, but you fucked yourself off to taking 10 years of gear. Now, if anybody tells you this is not the case, it's rubbish. Again, I've got the data.
Well, here's one you can answer for us, because we had Danny on the other week, and he's been going to the NHS because he's got low sperm count.
Yeah, 2 million.
And low testosterone. So he's like 2 million sperm count. Now, because he was low testosterone, the NHS were willing to put him on their version of TRT, which looks horrendous. Yeah. They hit you with like 1,000 milligrams in one shot. You go back like
every 4 months or every 3 months.
A few months later, they hit you with 600 milligrams, and it's this horrible, just mass spike to leave you for fucking ages. Then bring you
it's a very, very long ester. Yeah, but it's cheap, it's effective. This is why the.
But it looks like you'd be emotionally crushed.
You're fucked on it. But you see, what you've got now is to do with cost efficiency. The NHS is about keeping costs low now. Testosterone enanthate on prescription for 3 shots is about £204 a week ago. Used to be 50 quid. Sustanon was about £5, it's about £8-9 now. So with the rules of TRT, you have to have a blood test every 3 months, and then you get a prescription every 3 months. So the NHS is probably spending £4,000 to £5,000 on each male. If they do this for everybody, you've probably got.
That seems excessive.
Yeah.
No, it's excessive because the system has done it that way.
Yeah.
That's because they're getting ripped off on their base end.
Well, they're getting ripped off on their base end. Also, you've got ridiculous rules that there's only 2 suppliers left of enanthate. So it used to be like.
They've got monopolies.
So they've got monopolies.
So this plays into your hands of they don't care. They're not bothered about their money makings. Aren't they? Yeah. The people supplying the NHS.
So now then what happens, you can get what we call idiopathic polycythemia, where your hematocrit count rises with testosterone. There are easy, simple ways to withdraw some blood. Donate some blood, do it. But the NHS says, if you get idiopathic polycythemia, we are taking you off TRT. So you're back to square one again.
So they just dump you?
Yeah, but the simple thing to do is just withdraw some blood.
Would they put you on a PCT afterwards, or just drop
No, they just say, that's it, there you are. So you're back to where you was.
Crashing depression, no doubt, as well.
Mind fog, lack of libido. And libido is important for your whole well-being as well.
Yeah, huge.
It's fucking fundamental to it.
Our hormones massively affect. Like we had Lee came on and talked about how he suffered from depression most of his life and never realised he could feel happy until he sorted out his hormone balance.
But look, we get the first thing we ask us on the form: have you ever suffered depression or anxiety? First thing we ask, and if you have, right, let's get these hormones put into there as well.
Yeah.
Now, the British Institute of Psychiatry, or whatever with these bodies, I've had this discussion with one of the professors there. They don't accept it. They don't accept it because it's not in the NHS protocol.
Yeah.
But you go privately, they will accept it. But then you've got to have that 600 quid consultation to go privately.
Yeah.
So,
but like you said, it's worth that. Saving for that, and don't buy that pair of Nike Air Jordans for 200
You know what?
quid.
You're going to go get pissed on a night out for 200 quid. Go get yourself sorted.
That's what I said. Avoid buying those trainers that month. Avoid buying that PS5. Or that you want. Your health is way more important.
Your health. Look,
but in terms of Danny, before we forget him, because I did say we would get you to answer this, they don't run HCG alongside their.
No, they don't, and they also don't run HMG.
Can you explain why that is so important and what HCG is to people?
It's basically human chondroitin. What it does, it keeps the testicles shape, and it pushes up some hormones. You have got HMG and HCG, LH and FSH, and your sex hormone binding globulin. It's basically about,
which people know as SHBG.
yeah,
Yep.
it's about getting your whole hormone functioning and getting your testicles functioning again and the size. Now, the NHS view is quite simple. There's two ways to look at it. For steroid users, well, you took it off your own choice. What do you want us to do about it?
Yeah.
For people who've got low testosterone, it's like, well, there was a doctor who I spoke to from the British Endocrine Society, and I quote him now, Dr. Peters. I'm going to quote him. In fact, Dr. Peters, a wanker. And he said to me that, I said, what do you do when guys come with low testosterone? He said, I console them and send them home. And I said, what do you do? Give them a hug, or what do you do?
This is a doctor.
Yeah, this is a doctor and an endocrinologist. He said, and I said, so what do you do? He said, I either refer them on to you, or I console them and send them home.
That is a horrible way of practicing it.
And I said, why? He said, because I'm not allowed to give them enanthate.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give them the beta. Also, it's a lot of hassle for us.
They don't want the paperwork. They don't
Yeah,
want to deal with it.
this is exactly what he said. Now, 45% of our TRT clients are referred to us by NHS doctors.
Right.
And let's also say between 25 and 40 is the main suicide timeline.
It's a suicide timeline. Yeah. And it's a culmination of, if you're depressed, you've got no money, you've got shit housing, no future, and you've got low testosterone.
Crush them.
It's going to crush them. Now,
Which could happen if they've come off cycles
it
as
could,
well.
it could come
obviously.
off cycle. It
There'll be
could
many
be
reasons for that low test.
look, one of the things we find as we're all children, I mean, you guys, I don't know if you had choppers or grifters, but we did. And you're riding a bike, you crash your balls into the handles.
Don't you feel that straight away when they say
now,
it?
in some people, the testicles got damaged.
Yeah, I
but
bet.
at 8 or 9, how would you know?
Yeah.
Now you've got 20 and you're sort of ready to ramp and you're at uni and you've seen something and now it's not working. So we've got plenty of cases like this where we send them for an ultrasound, an MRI, and you see this permanent testicular damage.
Is it like a scar tissue buildup? Or?
The scar tissue build-up, the testicles are just not functioning. I mean, I've actually, and I've got to word this correctly, there's a young man who came to us, and when his testicles were examined, they were the size of peas. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is not to mock the guy at all, but they just never developed.
Yeah.
He didn't tell anybody. The parents didn't really check. You know how
They check that. They check that when they're young now.
well,
don't they?
when they're babies. But the thing is, in this day and age, if a dad wants to check his son's testicles, he's going to be child abuse.
Yeah, this is a problem.
Right. So there's lots of other factors into this. But that kid, if it had been picked up earlier, so he had no facial hair and his voice hadn't broken.
Yeah.
So
At what age?
he was about 21. Now, what had to happen? He had to be referred to a specialist. It cost several £1,000s, and he was put onto TRT for life. With HCG for life, and now he has some facial hair, his voice is broken, but the quality of his life is still diminished.
Yeah.
That could have been picked up when he was younger. Certain medications will affect testosterone. I know a lot of people dispute this. Excessive weed will do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the mechanism for that?
It's to do with the estrogen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's also to do with the neurotransmitters. Now, as you know, a proper good weed head.
We talk about excessive use.
Yeah, excessive use, excessive use. Everything in moderation is good. And the laws of physics and chemistry is what goes up must come down. This is just a simple law of biology, chemistry, physics, life. Now, you're at a peak, you go off the cycle, you're not at that peak anymore, it has to go down, but it's going to go down harsh because you're used to being like this. You've gone from a Ferrari to a Mini. Right, it's hard, it's mentally hard. So instead of waiting for your own system to kick back in with a PCT, and again, some PCTs are overrated. Not everybody needs PCT. And I'm saying this quite clearly.
There was an argument for that years ago. A lot of the older bodybuilders, I feel like Lee Priest always never claimed he never used PCTs.
Because you don't need it, but there was never that drug usage. There was never that drug usage either. There weren't these ridiculous combinations of usage either. Now you've got theories, for example, and if somebody they're going to slag me down on this, based upon gear dosage based upon your body weight. To me, that's ridiculous. It doesn't even meet any scientific background to it. Anybody can pick up a study which suits them.
Yeah. I think people have that bias anyway. They try and find something that matches what they want.
There's one study done in Sweden which showed that testosterone has no effect on muscle growth. Done on 12 people. Now, when you break that study down, it's actually in a care home, in a hospice of men above 88 who are paralyzed, who cannot move. Now, the guy who did that study, he did that on purpose to show the fallacy of studies.
Yes.
So they were given 1 ml of testosterone every 2 weeks. The poor fellows, they're all like this, and they had no muscle growth. But the study does show testosterone has no effect on muscle growth.
Yeah. So it's all about the environment in which.
So you can find a study in rats showed that a rat weighing 400 grams was given X amount thing, and based upon his body weight, he grew more than the rat who's weighing 300 grams. Right. Number one, humans aren't rats. When the rat dies, nobody really cares or gets upset. If that rat becomes impotent, nobody really cares. If the rat has neural issues, nobody cares. If he's depressed, nobody cares. But if he's your husband or your dad or your brother, you do fucking care. So you've got to put that human factor into this.
Yeah.
The human factor has to be brought in because we are living with families and partners and children and etc. And the effect. And I'll give you one. Sorry, I'm going to rant on it. One example here. We've had a guy whose missus called us up. I swear to God, and said there was no food in the house because he'd spent the money on GH. And myself and a friend of mine, we went to Asda, we bought nappies and things like this. Now, this is
because growth hormone is expensive as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And
a
it's usually
subculture,
fake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all fucking fake. A subculture within a subculture where this guy has got so neurotic and selfish. Fuck the kids. Fuck his missus. I need to look a certain way.
Crazy. So he's just gone. Yeah, just gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Madness. Should we do some questions because we could go on? Oh, hang on with the Danny thing. So
Yeah.
for Danny, this is right. I told him to not go on the NHS TRT and to come to someone like you instead.
Ask Danny to give me a call, and what we'll do a protocol. You can discuss a protocol here afterwards, and we'll see. First of all, let's see his blood, see where he is. We might have to get him going anyway, naturally.
Well, that's why I said, because they won't put him on HCG because they want him to freeze his sperm now because they know full well they're going to shut him down if they put him on TRT.
Well, he was at 4 million a year ago, and now he's down to 2 million, so it's only getting
but
worse.
He's having multiple jacuzzis a day.
Yeah, he was
so
boiling
his
spuds
balls.
twice a day.
So he's stopping that now, and reckon that will probably help a lot.
That doesn't really help, no.
But he's they never say anything about having put him on HCG. Or anything like that.
If he goes privately, they'll give him HCG, HMG, Clomid, and vitamin E. They'll give him this, and for a 4-month period.
For 4 months.
Yeah, because HMG will stop working. You sort of reach a saturation
would
point.
Would you advise that he freezes his sperm first and pays for all that, or goes on to the HCG protocol?
I would say,
could he do more damage?
Salvage what you can now.
Okay.
In case it doesn't get any better in the future.
But would it make him? And is there any possibility of it making him worse? That's the question. Because if there's not,
without seeing the blood work or without any data, I'd say there is a small possibility, probably not.
Right.
But it would be well worth freezing. Lots of pro athletes freeze their sperm.
So it's still worth doing.
Look, it's well worth doing because if that's all you've got, that's all you've got.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he wasn't even at a high enough level to freeze. He was at,
And we had one pro guy. I actually went with him because he didn't want to go by himself. And the consultant said, "Look, really good news. You got 4 sperm, but all 4 are dead." Okay, and that was it.
Jesus.
But 2 years later, he doesn't compete anymore. 2 years later, he fired back, and he's got a child now as well.
There we go.
Yeah,
it's impressive what the body can do when it's given the right
There's
tools.
always hope, and again, genetics.
Yes.
You've got guys on massive cycles, and they have kids.
The issue was Danny he used at 17, 18 years old.
Yeah,
When that
this is where the
prime endocrine development.
this is when the historical figure comes in. This is what King's College are looking at: youngsters who use gear and the effect of it now at 25, 28. So the culture will say that you'll always recover. Well, no, in fact, you don't sometimes.
I've seen, someone was talking about it before, that there's been studies, like autopsies on bodybuilders, and there's like severe fibrosis in the testicles, just because of them being shut down for long periods of time. And then
Well, that's why you get the atrophy, that's why they shrink.
Yeah, so then potentially with like HCG alongside that would stop the shrinkage, stop the scar tissue, the
sounding
fibrosis.
extremely gay here, but if you imagine you've got a sac and it's shrunk, you could sort of blow into it and get it up. But if the actual tissue has now got scarring and it has got smaller and it's become rigid, there's no fluid there anymore. Yeah. It's gone.
What size should a normal testicle be on average? Compared to a
get yours out and just show us.
Like a obviously you said the guy's shirt is like the size of a pea, so should they be like a grape-ish size? Just so that people can know if they are abusing something.
I would say
just to give
a
people
slight
an idea.
sort of like plumpy peanut shape with the case on.
Yeah.
Like the old school Mr. Peanut.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Something like that
size.
with a bit of buoyancy to it. Flexibility.
There you go, boys. If you are using...
And look, one of the things, if we are talking about self-gratification and testicles, all guys at above 35, you should feel your testicles, not erotically, for any cysts or
Oh, hell
lumps,
yeah. You should.
or any scarring. Literally grab them.
What that means. That's my
I
test.
don't know why everyone does
We
that.
all do it.
Why are they so far away?
Right.
Whoa!
Yeah, you need to stop doing that with the police forces. You need to stop doing that. But basically, feel the circumference, feel the veins, feel the scrotum for any cysts, any marks. Now
Anything abnormal.
we put that standard actually on every report we give. But this is male health itself is a fucking huge topic.
Yeah, and it's one that's not covered enough.
Yeah, and you know the demise of the male. This ought to be testosterone as well. I mean, I could talk about Project T, which is another thing altogether. It's actually called Project T, which is about why testosterone in Europe, and it's known as it's led to Generation T, the low generation of testosterone. There's a whole study.
This is a chronic issue that we have.
Absolutely.
Is this worldwide?
This is in Europe and in the West. Look in Pakistan, fucking man, act like a man. Put yourself together.
Yeah.
You can't say this here, can you?
No. Right, so let's get some of these questions in the way.
See if we've had any serious ones, because normally they're fucking not so serious.
Somebody's literally put PCT question mark because there's a lot of people that
Yeah,
want
do
them.
they need to? Is that a standard thing, or is that something that needs to be assessed on a case-by-case basis?
Look, if you're taking generally testosterone only, as a very general rule here, before everybody starts going mad, you won't need PCT, or you might need a smaller PCT. If you put in Tren, you put in Deca, you put in some more of the harsher drugs to keep it simple, then yes, you may need a PCT. But the PCT, bear this in mind, 3 weeks after your cycle ends, or 4, you should do a blood test, and then the PCT can be designed. There's no point starting PCT after this view of taking your last shot. That testosterone is in your system for 28 days or whatever.
Yeah.
There is no point starting PCT on your last shot.
But
it's pointless.
Shouldn't everybody be running HCG alongside their course?
If you're just taking testosterone.
Right.
Right. Now, if you're taking some of the more harsher, big cycles, 800 Tren, 1200 propionate, primo mast, equipoise there, then that HCG isn't going to really do much because you're already shutting yourself down anyway.
Is it because the others are just shutting you down so hard?
It's just
So
too
for those who
hard.
don't know, the HCG basically is going to try and keep your natural testosterone production going.
Yeah, keep it going and keep your balls.
But if you're shutting it down to a point where it won't even,
no,
there's no
pointless.
point.
Yeah, pointless.
So then there's this old school mentality that people would then megadose, isn't it? They'd megadose HCG after the cycle.
Yeah, they should be like this view where 5,000 every other day for 15 days.
Is that correct? Or should they start it prior to the cycle ending? Because this is the other.
The thing is, again, the to talk about what's correct is probably better than to talk about what's not correct. Wait for 4 weeks until your cycle's over. Get a blood test done, see where you are, and then we can design the PCT based upon that. Some people will have to have a longer PCT. Sometimes you have to do PCT twice. You do the PCT, it doesn't work, you have to redo it again because everyone is an individual. What works for me may not work for you. Now, on ethnicity, I need to make a point here, is that South Asians, Africans, we're more estrogen prone. So an anti-estrogen, and the reason we're more prone is because we're fucking so hairy.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, well, but you're half, that's the problem.
Yeah, there we go. I'm a fucking anomaly.
Can you say half anymore? Can't say that
I don't know what the fuck you can
anymore.
say.
Why can't
You
you?
cannot say that, young man.
I'm mocker.
You're mixed race.
I'm mocker.
I'm a mongrel. That's what I
I'm
call
Hovis, best of both.
50-50 bed.
Now, because we're more estrogenic, so if we're taking a cycle, the likelihood is that our estrogen will come up higher, so we'll need an anti-estrogen during the cycle. White guys don't.
Really?
White guys are actually fucking quite lucky, to be honest. Not only do you fucking dominate everything, right, and you can ride motorbikes better than we can, right, there, and you can get drunk and fucking still drive a car, but the genetic structure is such that you're less estrogen prone than Asian guys are.
Crazy. So, yeah.
Okay, and this is just genetics. And
Well,
again,
my estrogen was on the high end,
Slightly
and then
high,
and I was like, okay, so because that's part of why I wanted to do it. It was like,
now
if I
this
do,
data we've only discovered because of these 27,000 results we have.
Yeah.
We've looked at it through ethnicity. Oh, that's interesting. Why are the Asians all slightly? And then when we've researched that, that's what we've come to.
See, that's really interesting. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't have had that without that pool of data.
No.
No,
I-
it's
no.
impossible. No, you wouldn't have it.
that's kind of why I wanted to do it, because I was like, I need to know if there's anything that's on either end of the range. Am I going to have to be careful of something when
Now, one of
I
the things
when I
I should
do
also
try?
be aware about, there's a lot of fake HCG around at the moment. Right. 2 of the big companies have stopped making HCG.
Right.
So what you should call Pregnal isn't really available anymore. So there's a lot of fake HCG. So sometimes when people are doing the PCT, it hasn't worked because it's fake.
What would be a way of telling it's fake?
Well, that's the problem, mate. The fakes are so good now. You
They're all
can't
still
tell.
packaged
No,
the same.
they're brilliant. The
I
fakes
saw
are.
something as well the other day about HCG. It it deteriorates very quickly. So like people think they're taking it for a long period of time, and then after like a few days, it's literally the
Well, look, if
potency
you've got
drops
it
off
in your
drastically.
dashboard in the summer,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
gone, isn't it?
everything needs to be refrigerated and kept to certain
But
levels.
it's
A
'cause,
lot of
like,
people don't know that.
Is that the one that's a powder, and then you have to put it into, like, I don't know, is it a liquid or water or
And
something?
anything that comes and needs to be changed from powder to liquid usually needs to go in a fridge, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's unstable. I mean, look, it's best to keep it in a cool place, dark place.
So if these
because it's
people are even
unstable.
storing real shit in the wrong places, it's dud by the time it gets to you.
Well, look, if everybody goes onto YouTube, if you type in production of steroids, India, cattle market, and you will see a guy getting a head and shoulders bottle and putting it into vials and sealing it. And then it goes into a donkey cart to someone who's packaging it. And it looks fucking fantastic.
That's scary.
You see, so it is actually the concept of it, again, as you said.
See, I never thought what I always thought used to think, what would be the point in faking something that's
Because you always make more money.
not that
You
expensive
always make
to-
more money out of fakes than you do real stuff.
Yeah, Jesus, people. Anyway, right. What TRT dose would you recommend?
Age. A TRT dose, to talk very generally, is 1 ml of testosterone enanthate or 1 ml of sustanon every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks. Now, this is what
So what would that be in milligrams?
250 milligrams. However, if you're a naturally bigger guy, to give an example, if you were a pro rugby player, naturally whole life, but now you've demised a bit, you will want a bit more to keep your muscle. So up to 1 ml every 14 days is allowed within the guidelines. However, with ourselves, we're willing to go like 1 ml every 10 or 12 days.
So 1 ml is 250 milligrams.
20
of
milligrams, yeah.
testosterone.
Now, we've talked about microdosing is highly effective, mimics your own body system. However, it can be a nose for a lot of people. They don't want to do that jab there.
Yeah.
So 0.5 ml a week can be very effective. The difference then comes here now on your gear. If you're using
Yes.
pharmaceutical sources, now in Britain, if you look at a lot of the TikTok videos, they're talking about Cypionate. The reason why is because you don't get sustanon in America. So people watch these, so they think now Cypionate is the best thing ever. Now Cypionate is one molecule difference to enanthate. It can stop a bit of oily skin and it can stop a bit of acne. In some people, enanthate is still, it works better. But enanthate is quite expensive, so they have to use gym or underground gear. And underground gear, you never know exactly what it is. Yeah. Brands, I don't want to advocate any brand, but I would say in some testing which I've done, Ignis is a very good brand. Ignis and Crown from the testing which I've done. Right. Okay.
There you go.
And now, you know, I'm not sponsored by either of them.
No, but it's
link in the bio.
Yeah. But at least people now, if they see that name.
But when you look at gear, always look at the label, the date, and the packaging should match the same. The plastic top at the top, it should have a good tight seal.
Yeah.
Some of them are, you pull it out and the actual rubber thing pops out. That's just shit, throw it away.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
As well. If you're buying a bottle of gear for 15 quid, then it's going to be shit.
Fake.
Where would, because this is something that I'm really paranoid about, is like if I do, there was a brand, it's a German brand called Bayer.
Bayer is very good.
And
however,
it's in
Bayer's
like a
also heavily faked in China, Pakistan, and India.
Yeah, I saw that, and like the one I was saying, Bayer only basically there's one vial per box. And the rest of it is just like
next
packaging
time
and stuff like.
if you allow me on, I'll bring my case with real gear and fake gear.
Yeah.
Oh no, that will be interesting.
And you will. Some of it is so hard to tell.
Yeah.
And then I'll show you real testosterone Bayer, and then the fake Bayer. You can't tell other than when you break the vial and you pour it out.
You couldn't even tell from the carrier oil that they use or anything. That's crazy.
Because
now remember, with sustanon, real is quite easy to tell. It has a very nutty smell to it.
Okay.
And so sustanon is quite easy to tell, and it's very thick, very viscous.
Yeah.
If it's watery, it's not real.
I remember a horror story of one of the guys who he was a doorman when I was at uni at Newcastle. And I always remember he had a chest like a shelf. I think I've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
He was called Lee. He was he was the two guys, the two doormen I knew, and they were both openly would talk to me because at that time I was super interested in gear and everything about it. And he would openly talk about it, and he was on the same thing as his mate. and his mate was just a raging asshole.
Yeah.
And Lee was the nicest bloke who would just help anybody at any point, and he looked phenomenal. But he said he had once a horror story that he once got sold cricket bat oil. Yeah, literally, it was just cricket bat oil in a vial, and he injected into his leg, and obviously had to go to hospital.
Fucking
and
hell.
all that. And
Well, I've
just
cut an abscess
scared
out.
the
I've cut
shit
an abscess out of someone in the clinic where you came. I've cut it out. I'm not supposed to be cutting it out, but the NHS were ignoring him. And what people think sometimes it's scar tissue from jabbing. It's a fucking abscess.
Yeah.
It's an infection.
Yeah, and we've cut it, and literally, this stuff has come out, and then at the end, oils come.
It's been sat in there.
Yeah, it's been sat in there. It's actually separated inside the body, and it's sat in there. And then we're literally squeezing oil out.
Jesus.
Yeah. See, that shit scares me.
Of course,
Yeah,
of
mate,
course
that's
it's worrying.
enough to
Of
put
course
you
it's worrying.
So what I was going to say initially was basically because the knockoffs are everywhere. I'm like, even if I found something from seemingly a reputable source, like where could I go to then get that independently lab
It's
tested?
too expensive. A vial might cost you 45 quid, and it's 300 quid to test a
I was
vial.
gonna say, it's not going to be feasible, is it?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I
like GH can cost. One of the ways we can tell GH is that if you're taking GH, we can do an IGF test on you in the blood and see that should be higher than normal. But often, and I've seen pro bodybuilders come in, call the dealer up, say you sold me some shit stuff. What do you do?
Yeah.
I know back in the days of when there were forums and things like that, people used to post blood works on stuff they bought, like whether it was over the counter or not over the counter, and showing like this is elevated, so that stuff is we know there's something real in that.
Yeah.
In this stuff, but it's also how they proved that things like there was one called Jungle Warfare, which
Yeah.
was released when it first originally got released. Everyone started taking it. It was like an over the counter testosterone booster. Everyone started getting fucking raging results, and it was amazing. Turned out it was made in China, and they dosed it with a pro hormone.
Yeah.
And then they obviously got caught out, claimed that it was in an environment where pro hormones were made, and it was just put into a contaminated vat.
Yeah.
Next lot came out, nobody got any results from it again.
Well, they-
And it was
But you
just,
see,
they used to do this a
if
lot.
you're taking, for example, let's say you were taking test, Mastron, Primo, maybe a bit of Equipoise, maybe a bit of Tren, T3 Clen.
Are there people that take this amount of stuff?
Yeah, all the time. That's normal. Now, how do you know what's worked?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know what's working? How do you know what to put in that?
Yeah,
Surely it's just
how would you know?
overkill.
Now, if you haven't grown as you thought you would, your coach said, let's up the dose.
Yeah.
Or adding this and adding that, and eventually you end up with
So
this.
how would you really know what's working? Now, again, the pro guys and the top guys, they know where to go to. We all know where to get good gear from. Everybody does. Let's not be naive about it.
I don't.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't know where to. I wouldn't even know. Because I'm not. We're not in an area. Well, I'm not in an area. Shrewsbury.
Well,
certainly
you're in the
not an
middle of
area.
nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nobody
Well, there's
here.
not even to here. There's no big bodybuilding.
I think the local
community
badger
here.
sells some.
I mean,
Probably.
you could go to the farm and get some cattle stuff probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably get some good equipoise there and train. But look, I mean, generally speaking, you go to the gym and there will be a relatively trusty drug dealer, which is an oxymoron in itself.
Yes, yeah.
But you could probably get good gear, goodish gear. However, the batches vary. Now, again, I'm saying again, I'm not anti-gear. People have the right to do what they want. Just accept that 99.999% of us are never going to be the British champion, European champion, or the world champion. Enjoy the sport. Take small amounts if you have to. Look good. Enjoy yourselves. Keep your jobs. Keep your families, and keep well and healthy.
Spot on advice.
It's the icing on the cake.
First thing is diet and training, and make sure they're in. I'm not talking about you've been doing it for 12 weeks. No, a year. Get in the gym for a year, fucking work, and if you do it properly, you won't feel the need for the gear because you'll see results, especially in those first few
2
years. Christ, you should fly.
Even if you train full body 3 times a week, and you eat rice, chicken, beef, potatoes, veg, fruit, rice pudding, you're gonna fucking grow.
Yeah, because it's just all new stimulus.
Yeah, you're going to grow regardless. After 2 years, I mean, I remember.
Then the battle starts.
When I was 16,
3 or 4
to
years
me,
in.
you know who the strongest man in the world was? I seen a guy do 100 kg shoulder press. And I was 16 in my school fucking PE kit because, we were poor and tramps. And in the gym, and I seen this guy, and I couldn't sleep. I was thinking, because I was doing like 8 kg dumbbells. And I thought, fuck, this has got to be the strongest man in the world. 2 years later, I was doing 100 kg myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you couldn't have fathomed it.
Yeah, because you're young. Now, if there was access to gear and that mentality we had at the time, being very competitive, we might have thought, you know what, let me take it. And 6 months later, I'm doing 100.
Yeah.
And that's the problem today.
Yeah.
Because that stuff is accessible, and there's 100,000 people out there who think they know what they're doing. Not knocking anybody, right? Get on a cycle, nothing will happen to you. And as I said earlier on, the first thing I said, in the study we've done of 10,000 people, 71% of people are getting gear from their coaches.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, when I started training when I was 16, I probably got maybe close to a year of training in before some of my mates started training with me. I was training with a guy who was in the year above me. And yeah, probably about a year later, some of my other friends started. Within 2-3 months, I don't know what they were taking. I know D-ball was one of them.
Yeah.
And they all overtook me literally in like...
Yeah.
Literally probably a couple of months, and I'd already like had a year of training. I was like, what the
I've got one for you. So I was very, very lucky when I started out. I got taken to the gym by my biology teacher, who was Dr. Pearson, legend, love you. And he was just this big guy he was a tall guy. He was like you. He was a similar frame to you. Just remember he had these pecs that were like 20 plates. But then he had like he was a bit Johnny Bravo-esque.
Yeah.
And he only wouldn't get any bigger because his wife wouldn't let him. It was brilliant. And he was such an intelligent
God
guy.
damn.
But he was a lovely bloke. Literally the same look as you, great beard, hair, the whole thing. And I remember he took me training at like 14. If he managed to get it,
It was me.
yeah. But he basically managed to get the gym into our tumble cycle for PEs for like our afternoon thing. And he actually did that himself and took a big group of us and we stuck with him for like that year, going to the gym with him. It was brilliant. Then from there, my neighbour took me to a local proper bodybuilding gym, but it had old school boys there.
Yeah.
And they just drilled me on form. I trained with them and it was form. Get your protein shake, and then this is what you go and get your diet. At no point was gear ever mentioned.
Well,
if anything, it was
David Meir, he's a great guy, runs a place called The Farm, numerous times British champion, log lift champion, etc. Beast of a guy, lovely guy. This is one of the things he'll say is that the youngsters will come. They're not bothered about getting that basis foundation.
which is why when they
of
come up
learning
with gear,
technique,
they drop off hard.
Yeah, of learning technique, of grilling those hours in. Because in 2-3 months on test and debug, let's be honest, if you're a complete and utter weakling, a complete and utter pussy, completely fucked up, you take debug and test, it'll make you stronger than you ever will in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So it's got you elevated now. Why you want to go back to, but you haven't learned any technique, you've learned nothing about nutrition, about supplementation, you've learned nothing. But now you're going to then buy the liver stack to cure your liver, thinking it's going to work, or this and that. Now, 1 or 2 cycles will make no difference. 5, 10, 15, 20 cycles will make a difference. Yep. And this is the race which we're trying to, it's like a tide which we can't really beat. The reality is, the race is being lost. All we can do is help who we can help.
The reality is it takes fucking time to develop a body that's going to last you a lifetime. Yeah. And people don't want to wait anymore, and this is an issue. But if you do wait, you'll see guys who, like, I literally had my bicep reattached. Yeah. And we were both laughing about having to have a skinny arm and lose all this weight. And I came back like a and my body just rebounded. Yeah. And even I was shocked. Even I'm like, holy fuck. Like, we were looking at my arms like, why is that not shrunk? Mm-hmm. It was fucking insane. Now, I did run the peptides straight away from being held, but still, even with that, it should have atrophied.
You have to have a muscle degenerative order to lose muscle that quick. What you lose in size is glycogen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. You don't, that muscle...
My diet got tighter.
Yeah.
Better. I started implementing more collagen. I've obviously implemented, like you said, I had the selenium, the selenium, the zinc, the vitamin E, the vitamin D, collagen, obviously the BPC 157. And it was shocking at how amazing, because I've had 20 years of lifting and training in sports. I played rugby, I played football, basketball, up to national levels of these things. The body was capable of dealing with it. So if I can take 3 months off training, go traveling and things like that, I will pop back into shape within 3 weeks getting back in the gym.
I know a world-level Olympic lifter. Basically, he had enough. He tore a disc in his back, had enough, got a very good job, so he decided to pack it up. He didn't lift weights for 2 years, and he lost 10 kg.
In 2 years?
Yeah. Now, he never took gear.
I know people that have lost that in 8 weeks.
Now, he never took gear. With no weights, he lost 10 kg in 2 years by cutting his food by half, basically.
Yeah.
Because muscle doesn't just vanish.
No.
This word, it catabolizes. Fuck knows what it is, man. It doesn't disappear.
Well, this is what I'm saying. If you dig it in over time, and you create this over time, it becomes who you are.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
Yeah, if you put the time in, it will last for time. And I just want to try and get this across to as many people as possible. And I'm not against the steroid use. I've seen boys who use it properly and do it with the diet and do it for you, and they look phenomenal and they're healthy. And I'm a scientist by nature, so I've researched. I know that they can be healthy.
Well, you also can decipher between good research and bad research.
Yes, there's that too. Like
This
you said,
is the key thing.
Yeah.
Now, it took me 20 years of benching to get to a 225 bench. 20 years.
Yeah.
Now, I know guys who've done cycles and they've got to 220 in 2 years.
Well, there's even
In that time, I tore a pec, a tendon. Fuck my
so
arm
we've
up.
come forward in ways of programming has got so
Yeah.
much better and more
Yeah.
accessible. So it's just which way do they go? Do they find this programming and stick with it and see that it's legit, or do they first find this guy telling them about gear that will make them do this thing? And I think
Absolutely.
that's the split.
Now,
think-
you'll remember. You're too young, I think. But when we first started training, we would do benching 60 sets every day. So we didn't know, like 16 years old, so benching, and 4 or 5, 8, 10 different exercises on bench, and then flies, and then go drink a pint of milk, and we'd all seen Rocky and Raw Eggs.
Yeah.
And we thought we were fucking dons. And now, what you've got, at least now, you can go onto YouTube, you can see your 12-set chest workout.
This is it.
And you don't have to do those. See, now, in my day, I sound like fucking ancient now.
Yeah, you're not that.
But
You're not dead yet.
To see how strong you were, it should be let's have an arm wrestle, or pull-ups, or do push-ups.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were doing them in school all day long, but now you know how to do a chest workout. And YouTube is fantastic. If you just look at it from, for example, the American Institute of Sports, or MIT Sports, or Harvard Sports, forget all the bodybuilders, forget all the... Look at the All Blacks training routine. Now, I've had the pleasure of working with the All Blacks in New Zealand. You would be... they would run 5 kilometres every third day. Okay, this is the All Black side.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
some
if you
weights...
didn't watch All Blacks in the heyday,
Yeah, a lot of sprints, a lot of food, and we had a great time there. Now, you can now follow the All Blacks training routine by the All Blacks coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need Mr. Godzilla or Quadzilla or Pexzilla or Bicepzilla, who's jacked up now. You can see it from an academic and an international level coach. The YouTube is fantastic for that.
Just internet in general.
Yeah,
And
there's so much you can learn now.
So I think we have dissed it a little bit now, but the thing is we've got this culture of don't going the wrong way, but there is the ability for you so easily to go the right way and get
very
results
easy.
way faster than in the heyday where people were just kind of throwing shit to the wall.
Because you didn't know, nobody knew.
No, now it is there, and you can do it. You've just got to put the fucking time in,
You gotta
and
put the
then
time
make
in.
an
I bet-
educated decision later down the line.
Also, be sincere to yourself. Let's be honest.
Yes,
Be truthful to yourself.
Yeah,
These
I
are-
know guys that were genetically really off.
Yeah.
And they would be comparing themselves to like Jay Cutler and things like looking at that.
Yeah.
It's like you could take the alien testosterone. You're
Yeah.
never gonna get there. And they would only ever look average on these heaping amounts of gear.
Well, I think I've been so surprised by people that have found out were taking something and they just
Yes.
look like normal people. Like,
That's the most common thing.
yeah, it's extremely
This is what I
common.
find frightening. People come to me when they tell me their cycles. But you look shit, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them directly, but no, I've been ill recently.
They've always
What?
got an excuse.
You've been 40 kg ill.
Yeah.
You're on a massive cycle. You look ridiculous.
You know what they are as well? Summertime trainers.
Yeah.
Summertime, and this is what I'm saying. They don't put in the time and effort. They do blips. They're blip training.
But we've had kids come to our gym, as this man in the corner will tell you. He said, come train with us. And after 20 minutes, they've had enough.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put the hard effort in.
I know guys that would literally get to the point of pain in a set and quit. And I'd be like, what are you fucking doing? Get back on there.
Yeah, that's when you.
And they would literally and they'd walk off and go do something else because they didn't like the way I was hitting something.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Right, we are running into the final 12 minutes. So we'll just we know the answer to this already, but someone has. But is it better to doing TRT in like a 12-week block,
No.
or just doing it year round?
No, dude. If you have low testosterone and you're above a certain age, look. If you're 22 and you're telling me you need TRT, we need it checked. If you're 40 years old plus, it's better to keep TRT at a low dose all year round
To mimic the natural rhythm of the
and
body.
to keep it monitored.
And then we'll go with this one. Can high cortisol levels cause a lack of sleep and
Yes.
and lower belly fat, as in the fat that the usual troublesome area of lower belly fat?
Yeah, what you've got to look at is why you've got high cortisol levels. I've had a client today, high cortisol levels, low testosterone. So now we're going to do the 6-hour test on him to see was that a one-off result or why it is, but it can do, yeah.
What can people be actively doing to help? Because cortisol is not the demon that everyone thinks it is.
You
We need
need,
cortisol.
you need a sustainable amount of cortisol to deal with the normal physiological stress which you have to have in life.
Yes.
There has to be a certain amount of physiological stress to keep us functioning.
Yeah.
This is stressful. Driving a car in traffic is stressful. We have to have a certain amount. When it gets too much for us, that's when it becomes a problem, and then it can affect other factors. But what they should be, it's not very common for people to have extremely high cortisol. So they have to be looking at over a duration test to see why they've got it, and then break that down. It could
Lifestyle changes.
Lifestyle changes. It could be a slight thyroid dysfunction. It could be, example, we find this with, for example, nurses. They're not really eating all day,
Yeah,
but they're drinking lots of cups of tea with sugar.
with a biscuit.
Yeah. So what you had, and I've just used nurses as an example. It could be
No,
tea,
but that is a chronic one,
could
because I
be
know
anybody.
tons of nurses
Well,
who
yeah,
all say the same
I work
thing.
with so many, and
Tea and
she's
biscuit.
had 16 cups of tea during the day,
Yeah.
with 2 spoons of sugar, a biscuit each time. That's like 4,000 calories. But Doc, I swear I haven't eaten anything.
Yeah,
I
yes.
don't understand why I'm not losing weight.
Yeah.
Then you go home, have a takeaway, because you poor girls are knackered. You go home, have a takeaway, have a little drink, have a bit of a cake. You've ate 6,000 calories during the day.
Yeah.
But you
Easily.
haven't eaten anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and you're not been satiated.
So that will affect it. And one of the things, so with that cortisol, I mean, anybody, if they listen, they can email me directly if it's a personal question. I can get back
What's
to
your
them.
email for them?
info@transformnow.co.uk.
So I'll put that in the description
So,
as
so
well.
this type of question, I can give them a much more detailed response.
Yeah.
And if they've got any bloods, they can email them to us, and we'll
And
have
so
a look
if
at
anybody's interested in actually getting their bloods done or going through this TRT process with you, is that the same email?
yeah,
that
you
they'll
can
hit?
go to our website, transformnow.co.uk.
And also
But
on Instagram,
What we will do
at the
for
same.
anybody who's if listening, if they have questions or they might find something to be embarrassing or whatever, by all means email us, and I will get back to every single person.
So overall, what would be the one, if you were to just sum it up, a quick message regarding this, what would it be?
I said, look, enjoy the sport, be safe. Steroids are the fucking icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That's what they are. I always use this cake analogy. This is what's happening currently. You've got a cake. Think of it as your human body. You put too much flour in, so you've took too much test. You're gonna put more flour in and an anti-estrogen to cut that down. It's too sweet, so you put more flour in. Let's take something else. So you're taking various compounds. Make the fucking cake first, then put the icing on the cake, and that's your cycle.
So basically, get a good foundation,
Yeah,
get everything structured.
nothing's going to happen without that foundation. It's very hard in this society of Instagram and a highly sexualized society to not be concerned. But stay away from that dysmorphia. Enjoy the game and be better for it. Don't end up coming to us because you're infertile and your mate's banging your girlfriend because you can't get, you had that trend range.
Yes,
You can't do
no.
it anymore because we can't do anything about that.
Brilliant.
Damn.
Absolutely amazing. We are going to finish with, we have been sent a Valentine's card. to the
Yeah,
CREWCast.
I assume it's a Valentine's Day.
And
card.
it does say, it says on it, "Dear Posty, please don't bend me over unless you're going to buy me dinner." And it's so we're going to open this and see who it's from very quickly.
We've got to get you back on because there's way more to
100%.
talk about.
Oh, something fell out.
Was it a
Not
fiver?
all-
Fiver, yeah.
A five. Nana sent a fiver. Not all superheroes wear capes. And it's a picture of a nurse and a doc on the front, and it says, "To Lex and Mr. Lewis, thanks for a full year of fun, chat, nonsense, silly questions, crazy stories, and all-round good entertainment and fun. You've both helped more than you'll ever know, and look forward to CREWCast meetups, BCB sessions, and riding motorbikes and chilling out. All the best for another year. Cheers, Craig."
I'm going to go riding with these guys.
Definitely gonna go riding.
Because motorbikes is a white guy thing.
Nah, dude.
Mate, have you ever seen any Asian guy on the tracks in your life? Because our mums won't let
I
us.
told you I hung out with the boys.
Mate,
we got
have
them
you
on.
ever seen them on the motorbike tracks? Because our mums don't let us. Have you ever seen an Asian guy climb mountains? Mums don't let us.
Brilliant.
Right.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been an absolute
Guys,
pleasure.
it's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
If I offended anybody, well, that's how
Tough
it goes.
shit.
Yeah. Unlucky.
Tough shit, because nothing was said that wasn't.
Right,
You know.
but thank you very much.
Love to everyone.
Brilliant. And cheers for the cigar.
Right.
Toodle pip. We're going to go.
Bye.
Leave the bad behind, bring the forward, the good. Have a great week. Toodle pip.
Toodles.
Bye-bye. Bye.